Chapter 1. Hell. In a vast place that has no light, but the smell of brimstone could be perceived from the surroundings, it was empty and devoid of any living being except a man with a celestial appearance and long black flowing hair. He is unconscious, and it appeared as if he fell from a very high place, as there was a deep crater around where he laid. After a while, the man opened his eyes and there was trace of confusion before he realized where he was when he smelt the sulfur in the air and how hot the place was. I guess this is hell. I never thought I would make heaven anyway. So this is how hell is, the darkness, the smell of brimstone and the hotness of the place. Being here is already giving me regrets. I should have lived a more righteous life back on earth. Sigh, I should have listened to my mother. The man thought as he remembered when he was still alive and all he did back then, which was nothing to write home about. He was a fraudster, playboy, he lived in sin despite knowing the existence of God and hell. He was also a believer, but sin always finds its way into his life no matter how hard he tries to avoid it, so he embraced it, and when he grows old he will repent of his sins, but death was not a respecter of any man. Death came knocking when he least expect, and the next thing he knew he was here, in hell. Why is it empty? Shouldn't there be sounds of people screaming in pain due to being tortured here, and where are the demons, or is it a loop-type hell, like from the Lucifer series? And if so, is my hell loop an abandoned one, since I'm afraid of being all alone by myself? Damn it, I would really like an answer right now, but first thing first, I have to get up from here. The man said as he stood up from his crater and found out something weirdly different with his body. He is taller than before, has a muscular yet athletic body, his skin is more smooth, and seeing this, he knew this was not his body. Don't tell me, this is not hell. Did I get reincarnated into a fantasy world like those novels my brother used to always read and write about? But why does it feel like hell here? The man said as he walked from where he was before to try and find out where he was. He didn't too much step when he happened to see a very long pillar that stood tall and had an imposing aura in it. This is really hell. Did I reincarnated in someone who is dead and also end up in hell? And this is not my hell loop, because I will not be able to see that, and what the hell is going on here? The man asked as he was very confused at what was going on, as the situation he found himself is very confusing. First, he died and woke up in hell. Secondly, he was not with his body, which means he reincarnated into somebody and thought he was not in hell, but only to find out he was in hell. ARRRGGGGHHHH. The man fell down and screamed while holding his head as influx of memories that was not of his own flowed into his head. After a few minutes that seems like eons to the man, he got up, but this time, there was no sign of confusion in his eyes, and his aura and visage changed completely. It was like he became a new person. So that's how it is, he said as he looked at the throne, which was the long pillar he saw earlier. He teleported from where he was standing and appeared seated on the throne with a new set of clothing. So I am the biblical devil, Samael Lightbringer, the first son of God, the twin to Michael, cast down from heaven to hell because of choosing to rebel against their father, their God, due to his pride. Great, this is wonderful. I should just wait for him to come and snuff my soul out of this body, since I'm sure that there's no way in hell he will not know about another soul in his son's body. If it was some other time, I would have been happy that I am a celestial being, but not today, but I will have to enjoy my little time here. The man said as he made a bottle of whiskey appeared in his hands and started drinking, waiting for his eventual death. He waited for a long time but nothing happened. He has finished 5 bottles of whiskey, but he was still breathing in hell and not struck down or a voice speaking to him, which completely baffled him. Is this also his plan? That's why I'm still alive. I refuse to believe that God does not know about this. Is he just keeping silent? Whatever, since he didn't do anything, I can assume he did not plan to do anything either. The man said as he stood from the throne and looked at the entire hell and tried to leave but found out that he cannot do so. He tried again and it was still the same. I guess I'm stuck here all by myself. Sigh, is this because the world have not been created yet? Since I'm banned out of heaven, I cannot go to any other place, so if that were the case, where are the others? The man thought of the other angels that were banished alongside him when they rebelled against their father. Thud. The man turned to see someone with a celestial appearance on the ground, and after that, more were also falling from above. So they are just casted out of heaven now. They sure took their time. Well, now I will have to wait for another billion years before the creation of the world before I can get some action. The man said as he still sat at his throne and looked over his newly arrived unconscious siblings. Chapter 2. Fight to rule hell. Well, you are all awake, you sure took your time. A black-haired man with a celestial appearance seated on a very long throne said to a group of people who also has a celestial aura to themselves. Samael, where is this place? Don't tell me this is where I think it is? A man with white hair and golden pupils asked the man seated on the throne whom he addressed as Samael. Yes, brother, this is what you think it is. Hell? Samael said to the white hair man. This is where we have been banished to and live the rest of our lives. This is our prison. What do you mean by prison? We don't deserve this. You were the one who caused this. You brought this upon us. If you haven't insisted on rebelling against Father, none of these would have ever happened. You should be the only one imprisoned here. You bastard! An enraged woman who bore the same features with Samael shouted at him for how he deceived them to rebel against their father for his throne. Because of that they were doomed to hell. You will watch your tone when talking to me, Amiel. Samael said as his eyes turned into a darker shade of red. I agree. I was the one who initiated the rebellion, but was I the one who forced you to side with me? I gave you a choice. You choose to join me and now you want to put all the blame on me? How dare you? Samael rebuked Amiel, who became silent after. The other fallen ones were all silent as they knew Samael said the truth. He brought the matter to them. But he didn't force them to join him. It was their choice to side with him to abdicate their father from the throne, but instead they failed and banished here. You've made your point and we agree, but why are you sitting up there? From what I can see, that's a throne, and if you are sitting on it, doesn't that mean you have already declared yourself as the ruler here? Another one with blazing red hair and fiery eyes and had a serious expression on his face and has a muscular build asked Samael. Is there a problem with that? Didn't we all agree that I was going to rule heaven if we succeed, so why should it be a problem if I did the same here? Samael looked at his siblings and asked them. Oh, there is a problem, brother. You see, we agreed with you because you proposed the idea and you were the only one who would be powerful enough to sit on the throne after Father, but you see, this is different. Anyone can be the ruler here and I wanted the throne for myself, brother. A man with black hair and a slim and athletic build said while smiling at Samael. If you want the throne, then you can come fight me to get it. After all, I was here first, so it belongs to me, Samael said while looking at the faces of his siblings who now did not say anything and instead moved back from the man who just spoke. They knew they could not take on Samael even with their numbers. The only one who could stand Samael is Michael, and that would be a draw. It was only through the intervention of their father did Michael defeat Samael. Don't be afraid to make this a fair battle. Why don't we use only our fists, none of our powers and talents, only brute force? Samael proposed to his siblings who now are having second thought of engaging in a battle with him. What do you say? Do you accept? If it was before, Samael would not have dreamed to engage in a fight with either of them as he could just use his powers, but now he was different. He was not just the Archangel Samael. He was a reincarnated soul in this body, so he knew he would have to show these siblings of his their place so that they don't even dream of having a second thought of getting the throne of hell. I will not take part in any of this. You guys can do anything you want. I don't care for any throne anymore. A purple-haired woman with purple pupils said as she will her raven black wings to come out from her back and created a floating large chair which she flew to and sat down and wait for the rest of her siblings for their fight. I will also have to pass. Another person spoke as he did the same thing that the other woman did. I have no objection on whoever won. After all, we are the only ones here. There is no one to rule over. Well, since Coriel and Burial have decided to step down from the fight for the throne, can we get down to business? Who's first? Samael as he flew down and stood in front of his remaining siblings who still wanted the throne. Or you can all come at me. I won't mind. Samael smiled as he raised his hands at them and gestured for them to come. You were always so prideful, brother. That pride will be your downfall, the black-hair angel said as he rushed at Samael with a burst of speed which made him appear in front of Samael like he teleported and land a clean hit on him which sent him flying. All those talks. And you were sent flying from just one punch. You must remember you always pride yourself with how powerful you are and forget to ever train properly. Without that power, you are nothing, brother. You should have relied on what you were beat at. The black-hair angel smiled as he began to lecture Samael about his pride and thought he will have the upper hand since they all knew how physically weak Samael is. You know what your problem is? Samael got up and dusted himself and said, You talk too much. Samael also rushed at him and gave him an uppercut as he was distracted, which sent him flying upward, to which Samael held his legs and brought him crashing back to the ground, which made a loud noise. Bang! You should know by now, I never do what I'm not sure of, Asmodeus, Samael said as he looked at the black hair man who is now known as Asmodeus as he stomped on him. Now, who's next? Chapter 3, Lucifer Morningstar. Now, who's next? You have gotten stronger, that's new. You couldn't land a single punch on Asmodeus before, even when you distract him, but now not only did you land a clean hit on him, you even went as far as knocking him out. That's strange, Samael. The slim yet athletic black hair angel said as he began to take Samael seriously, even he knew he was not really good when it comes to physical strength. Why don't you stop talking, Akil? We have yet to decide who can sit on the throne, so why don't we get back at that? Samael said to the angel who just spoke before he continued, and to make it easier and fair, you lots should attack together. Don't get ahead of yourself, brother. You must know Asmodeus doesn't fare well when it comes to brute force either. The one with a blazing red hair said as he knew all of his siblings like the back of his hands. You still have me to contend with. And that's not going to end well for you, brother. Everyone present were silent as they knew he was saying the truth. He was the strongest of archangels when it comes to physical strength, only second to Michael. At times, he could even go toe-to-toe with Michael and sometimes comes to a draw with him. He is Sadinel. He is nicknamed the Angel of War. Samael looked at Sadinel and knew this was going to be a tough fight if he is not using any of his powers, but he wasn't worried. He knew he could take Sadinel and even Michael now. He was not the old Samael, he was a reincarnated soul in Samael. He knew one or two things about fighting from his previous life. Due to having occupied this body, he felt his strength has gained an increase compared to when he was in heaven. Samael looked at Sadinel. There was no way he was going to give up the throne he had already sat on, and there is no way he was going to let any other person other than him to be the devil. For him, that was his right. He is Samael Lightbringer. Lucifer Morningstar, he would be a fool to let that go. Come and get it, brother. I am not afraid of you or anyone. I am, after all, your older brother. It will be a shame for me to let you win, so you will have to kill me if you want that throne in peace. And all of us present here know that isn't going to happen, because you can't kill me, Sadinel. No one can, so why don't you give up your little rebellious charade and accept me as the king here? You've got nothing to lose. Samael said to his brother, who looked at him also. I will forget about all these and move on. I might even give you positions to handle. What do you say? When Amiel heard that, she started having second thoughts. She knew she can't defeat Samael or Sadinel. That's if he even wins, so she decided to go for the easy way out. I will accept your offer, but you must know I will not settle for anything less, Amiel said as she joined Coriel, the purple-hair female angel. Samael smiled at that before he looked at the other one left. What do you say, Moronwell? Are you going to choose to side with me or against me? Your choice, but don't let your greed consume your decision-making, Samael said to Moronwell. The last remaining is his siblings who was aiming for his throne other than Sadinel. Moronwell thought of the pros and cons of joining sides with Sadinel and him joining sides with Samael, and he have to say, he knew there was no way Samael in his right mind would still want to engage in a fight with Sadinel without making use of his powers, knowing fully well that he is not physically the match of Sadinel. It had to be known that Samael was hailed as the powerful archangel while Michael, the strongest archangel, and Sadinel the second strongest. Moronwell sighed before saying, fine, you won my vote, but you have to make sure you win this fight. You are not going to like what will happen if you lose. Moronwell moved back and let Sadinel and Samael have the floor for themselves. Sadinel looked at his siblings who have already put their hope on Samael since they believed that he was going to win the fight over him. But he must make sure to prove them wrong today. He must show them that he wasn't a second to Michael anymore. He is Sadinel, the angel of wrath. That's what he should be known as. Sadinel looked at Samael and his eyes turned into a blazing flame as he sprinted to him to deliver a blow to him, but much to his surprise and everyone present here, Samael caught his hands and delivered a punch to his abdomen. Samael smiled as he saw Sadinel sent flying by his punch. You should have backed out when you saw how confident I was. But you were blinded by the will to sit on the throne, Samael said as he walked to where Sadinel landed. But, you have to know this, I will never let anyone, ever sit on that throne other than me, even if I have to burn this prison to the ground to prevent that. Samael got to where Sadinel was supposed to be but found out he was not there. he immediately turned around and saw Sadinel flying with his blazing red wings out. "Oh, you want to take this to the air? You should have said so." Samael also willed his wings out, revealing his white wings with hint of black on them. Sadinel looked at Samael and wondered how he got this strong suddenly. "I don't know how you got this strong, but this ends here," Sadinel said as he and Samael engaged in battle, with Sadinel throwing blows after blows which Samael deflects some, evades some, and the others land on him, while he never got to land any on Sadinel as the former didn't give him the chance to. Boom! Samael was sent crashing to the ground as Sadinel landed on him and stomped on him. "You were acting all high and mighty not too long ago. Right, now look at you, underneath me. You were never that great. You were only father's favorite for a reason, but now, you have fell from that grace. You are nothing. You are just a fallen one. Even your name no longer hold any meaning anymore. You are no longer the favored son. You are a failed product, and also you are not fit to rule, and to prevent you from ever rebelling, I will have to lock you up. You are a threat if left alone," Sadinel said as he used his powers to create a red chain he intended to use to lock up Samael. Samael looked at Sadinel with fury as he remembered he was also like this before he was casted out of heaven by Michael. His pupils turned bloody red as he was furious for not taking this fight serious with Sadinel, which caused him to be humiliated like this. This was an insult to his existence. He cannot let this continue. He looked at Sadinel, who was flashing him a ridiculous smile, which infuriated him even more, so he grabbed Sadinel's leg that was on him. Sadinel, seeing Samael's final struggle, just smiled. "Don't bother wasting your time. You lost, brother, accept it." And Sadinel didn't get to finish his statement when he was flung to the ground. Samael stood up with a new aura, an aura of an archdemon, but he still has his holy aura of an archangel. "You were right, but you are also wrong about one thing. I may have fallen from his grace, but that does not mean I have become a weakling. Instead, I am stronger than before. Also, you are right about my name not having any more meaning to it. So from today henceforth, I will not be known as Samael, but Lucifer Morningstar, the devil." Chapter 4, The 7 Sins. From today henceforth, I will not be known as Samael, but Lucifer Morningstar, the devil. Samael, now known as Lucifer Morningstar, said as he walked to Sadinel and held him up. "You have lost this fight," Lucifer said before cracking his neck. He picked the chain that was intended for him and used it on the creator. Lucifer looked at everyone present, including Asmodeus, who has just recently woken up. "Since we have no more opposition, I will take that as I've won the fight for the throne, correct?" Asmodeus bowed after Lucifer said that. The others also followed suit. "We swore our allegiance to you. We will follow your command and do as you say," they said while still bowing to Lucifer. Lucifer smiled when he saw this. He flew to the throne and sat down when he felt a sudden surge of power within him. "Well, that's weird," said Lucifer when he felt that sudden surge of power. He felt 7 different power, but he felt one even more compared to the others. "Is this the 7 deadly sins? And the one I felt, which was intense, should be the sin of pride, my original sin, and the others should be a portion of the other sins for the rest." Lucifer looked at the rest of his siblings, who were also looking at each other, and noticed that their appearance has changed a little. He created a mirror and he saw that he too has some changes. He has grew horns which came out of his forehead and curved upwards with shades of red mixed with black. His eyes are now a darker shade of red. Other than that, he was okay. "Phew, I thought it could have been worse. So this is my devil appearance," Lucifer said, and decided to give it a try by changing back to his previous form, which proved to be successful. "Good thing I can control the transformation. What's happening to us? Why are we becoming like this?" Amiel, who prioritized her beauty above anything else, was terrified when she saw the changes on her face. Worst, she even grew a tail. "Samael, do you know anything about this?" she asked Lucifer as he was very calm and managed to return to his original form after his transformation. A frown appeared on Lucifer's face when Amiel still called him Samael. "Don't call me that anymore, Amiel. I am now Lucifer. I will pardon you this once, but there won't be a next time," Lucifer said with cold eyes before he continued. "Your transformation is due to us being stripped of our grace, making us into another being altogether. Demons, or in our case archdemons, but due to certain reasons, we still retained our grace, so you should be able to revert to your angelic form when you are through with your transformation," Lucifer explained to them before looking at their transformation into demons. Asmodeus grew horns just like him, but Asmodeus has a longer horn than him. He grew a tail and he grew 2 more inches to his previous height of 6 feet, 5 inches. Lucifer knew he had transformed into an incubi, making him the holder of the sin of lust. Samael's change was not much, she just had minor changes like her eyes being a little slitted and growing scales from her neck downward and having a tail like that of a snake. She is the holder of the sin of envy. Coyos didn't even have any changes. She was just surrounded by dark mists and appeared to become very lazy from her expression. She is the holder of the sin of sloth. Burial also grew horns, but his was shorter, he grew extra fangs and claws. He is the holder of the sin of gluttony. Moronwell had similar changes to Samael. He had slitted eyes, scales, but he grew horns instead of tails, and it was a dragon horn, making him a demonic dragon. He is the holder of the sin of greed. Meanwhile, Sadinel, who was still unconscious, also had the same change as Moronwell, but his was a fiery red in color. He is the holder of the sin of wrath. Lucifer, seeing all these, just smiled. So the 7 deadly sins has even made an appearance even before the creation of the world. Lucifer laughed when he thought of the future. Phew, I thought I would remain like that, but good thing I did not, if not I would have killed myself, Samael said after she transformed back to her angelic form. So what now, are we going to strike back or are we going to sit still? Samael asked Lucifer, as she did not want to stay in hell all her life. Lucifer looked at her. We should wait for our army to arrive before talk about fighting our way back to heaven. Lucifer, having no thought of even attempting to strike back, replied. He did not want to even hear a suggestion of fighting their way back. He likes it here. He does not want an ultimately death. If you are talking about the 1/3 of angels that joined us in the rebellion, then I have to disappoint you, brother. They are gone. Father destroyed them. We were the only ones spared. Asmodeus was the one who passed the news to Lucifer. Lucifer, hearing this, was even gratified. Then there is nothing we could do. We don't have an army. We won't stand a chance if we attack right now. We should bide our time and wait for the right moment to attack, Lucifer said when he felt some weird fluctuations, and not only him but even the others with him. Sadinel also woke up due to this weird fluctuations, and he was shocked to see his new appearance. What happened to me, and what's that fluctuation I am feeling? We also don't know anything about the fluctuation. But as for your appearance, it is because we. Moronwell explained their transformation to Sadinel. Lucifer had a feeling of what is going on. Is this due to the 7 virtues? No, that will not lead to this large fluctuation, or is it related to something different? Or, don't tell me. Lucifer was shocked when he guessed what was happening. The 1/3 that was said to be destroyed were not destroyed per se, but were the catalyst to create lesser gods. The gods from the myths of the future world. But from the myths, these gods were stronger than normal angels. Did he perhaps give them a boast? Lucifer smiled. This is due to the creation of new beings. Father is planning something large, something interesting, Lucifer said as the others all looked at him and wait for the changes to occur. Chapter 5. Birth of the Primal Gods. In the darkness of the void, shimmering lights that made up beings appeared, exuding powers capable of shattering worlds. 4 beings first appeared as they bore similarities between themselves and the aspects of laws they have dominion over. They are the 4 primordial gods, the ones that brought about the Olympian pantheon: Uranus, the sky god; Gaia, the earth goddess; Nyx, the goddess of the night; Erebus, the god of darkness. When they appeared, they all looked at one another and knew the purpose of their creation. After a while, they turned to see an old giant Iceman and a middle-aged man. Alongside them was a woman with a large horn of a cow and so large bust on her chest, who also appeared with a blinding light. The old man is Ymir. He was covered with snow and ice, which constantly generate intense coldness from his body. He is very huge, even to the extent of towering over the other primordial gods that was also huge. The middle-aged man Buri, the first Acer, he isn't tall like the other primordial gods and Ymir. But he is not to be underestimated. His eyes hold secrets and knowledge. He also had colossal strength to even best the gods here. Next, Autumbla, she is the woman with cow-like horn and a large burst. Her whole being was emanating life, and she has that motherly aura on her. When are the others arriving? We don't have all the time in the world to wait here for them, Ymir, the ice giant who came just now, said with an impatient tone. Uranus frowned when he heard Ymir complaining. When they have not made one. You just came now and you were complaining already. What if you had come earlier than us? Then you would have probably have us in the throat by now. Watch your tone, boy. You won't like me when I'm mad. Ymir said as his aura became colder, and when you arrived. It didn't take long for us to arrive, so you have no right to complain, Ymir said as he retracted his aura. Just be a little patient, they will be here. After all, we were not created until a few hours ago. Some might still be adjusting to their new life. Nyx, the primordial goddess of the night, said to Ymir, who only looked at her and snorted. Soon came a blinding light and a man came out of it, followed by 3 females and a male. We are sorry for arriving late. The one who appeared to be the leader of the said before looking around them, I can see. I'm also a little earlier than others, he smiled and said when he noticed some of the other gods aren't here yet. Ymir frowned when he heard the man said that, yes, you here and you arrived earlier than the others, but that does not mean that you are still not late, Ra. The man in the lead of the newly arrived, who is known as Ra, smiled at Ymir. You are one angry one, Ymir. I wonder how Audimbla will cope with that attitude of yours. You will keep my wife's name out of your mouth, Ra. Ymir was furious when Ra made mention of his wife. The reason the gods know about the names and the relationship between them was because when they were created out of the sea of chaos, they heard memories of their fellow gods, so it was not a surprise to them that they were calling each other their names. Ra, still smiling, said, Now, stop being all emo, it's not good when in meetings with potential allies. I don't need one, I can handle anything by myself, Ymir said with full confidence. Will both of you keep it down? It was before you came and I would like if it was so, Nyx said as she was getting annoyed by their bickering. They both kept quiet and just looked at each other, with Ymir looking at Ra as if he wants to strangle him while Ra was still smiling at him. After a while, other gods also started appearing, like Pangu with his axe, Nuwa, Izanagi, Izanami, and many others. Oranos, seeing everyone present, decided to speak up. Everyone knows why we are here, so I won't bore into much details. As you all know, we are born from the primordial chaos, making us primordial gods. We each have a responsibility to uphold. So let's work together to make it happen, Oranos said while looking at the primordial gods present here with him. Ra didn't like the idea of working together with the other primordial gods, as he did not want to associate so much with the other gods apart from the ones he was made with. I don't think that's a good idea. You know, most of us have conflicting personalities like Ymir over there, and I for one would like to build a home first before doing other things, fulfilling responsibilities. So I suggest we do our own things. Ra looked at them and seeing that he got their attention, he continued. Besides, most of us have different cultural differences, and we can't make it work together as there will be infighting amongst us, so I believe it is better if we do not stay together and only come together if there is something that requires our cooperation. Erebus, who has been silent the whole time, nodded his head after what Ra just said. He makes sense there. I mean, even if we are all created from the same source, we are vastly different from each other. Even amongst us who were born from the same place, we might be of the same source, but we are not born from the exact same place to have us live together as one big primordial family. So Oranos, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. The other gods nodded as they have seen what Ra was talking about. No, we can't do that. What if there was any threat out there, trying to get rid of us after our creation, and we are not able to be strong enough to end it? What will happen then? That will be the end of us. We can't do that. Oranos was still adamant on his previous statement. Ymir didn't want to hear any more of this. Finally made a suggestion. What if we meet from time to time? We could create a secret realm, where we could be able to access and meet up with each other. That way, we could be able to communicate with one. What do you all think? Ymir said as he looked at everyone and saw that they were weirdly looking at him. What are you all looking at? Ra went back to his usual smiling mode. For a second there, I thought you were a different person. I didn't know a brute could also have a brain, Izanagi said as he created a fan and used it on himself. Before Ymir could say anything back, Buri, who was besides him, beat him to it. Since everything is sorted out, why don't we take our leave? Buri said as he disappeared together with Ymir and Audimbla. The others also exchanged a few words before they went back to where they came from. Hell, Lucifer, who was sitting on his throne, smiled when the weird energy he felt before began to disappear one by one. This is going to be fun. Chapter 6, Leaving Hell. 10 million years later. Amiel, Coriel and Burial were sitting together as they observed Lucifer, who has his eyes closed on the throne of hell. What do you think he is doing now? Amiel asked the two with her, as she knew Lucifer had been trying to find a way out of hell, but everything they did was futile, Sometimes he would start acting weird, and when asked, he always says the same thing: "I'm trying to find a way out of here." Do you think he is still trying to figure out a way for us to leave hell? Coriel, who also has her eyes closed, sighed and opened her eyes, which was locked on Amiel at the unnecessary disturbance of her sister. He might be, or he is also trying to get a beauty sleep right about now, Coriel said before she closed her eyes again. Amiel saw the way Coriel looked at her and was displeased. That's all you know how to do: sleep. Sleep, sleep. You have nothing better to do other than that. You weren't like this before. In fact, none of us were like this. Sigh. Falling from his grace really changed us, right? Amiel, who has found out changes in her siblings and herself for a long time now, decided to say it out and not keep it within herself. Burial, who had been silent the whole time, finally spoke. This is due to us falling from his grace and becoming demons, opposite of angels, as the first demons, Father, or by means we don't know of, gave us what Lucifer calls sin. We were made the embodiment of sins, Lucifer being pride, Sadinel being wrath, Coriel here being sloth. So that explains her laziness, Asmodeus being lust, Moronwell being greed, me being gluttony, and you, my dear little sister, envy. Lucifer said something about sins we represent. He said it stemmed from our very nature. He gave an example about the rebellion. It was due to his pride, his desire to never bow down to anyone, his pride to be above Father. That's why he was the embodiment of pride. So the sin we possess is due to our nature. Do you get it now, or should I continue? Burial said while taking a bite of an apple he made. Sigh. When can I get a real food? I've been starved for 10 million years without anything to eat. I hope Lucifer finds a way out of here. Even if he did find a way out, we are bound to hell now. We do not know if we can be able to survive outside of hell. Burial and Amiel turned to Sadinel and Asmodeus walking towards them. Asmodeus looked at Amiel and Coriel with lust in his eyes, but refrained himself from acting rashly. He remembered when he tried to make advances on them, he was dealt with severely by Coriel, then Lucifer also roughened him up a little. Damn it. Is Father trying to make us suffer to death here? I have been satisfying myself for the past years now. I can't continue like this, and I can't make moves on Amiel and Coriel as they are stronger than me currently. Damn the nature of my sin. Asmodeus complained bitterly. Before their fall, Coriel and Amiel could not defeat him the way they were doing now. All of these was due to their sins and its nature. As the embodiment of lust, he can get stronger only by engaging in sexual acts, absorbing the lust from anyone with such desires, and he can't get any of that from here as his siblings are all immune to his lust powers. Due to this fact, Asmodeus has become the weakest of them siblings, followed by Burial, Moronwell, and an Amiel. But he knew all this will come to an end when he gets his hand on all those new beings. Burial looked at Asmodeus, who was lost in his world. Hey. Wake up from your daydreaming. Your dreams will not come true if you continue to daydream without putting any effort to achieve it. Asmodeus frowned at Burial as he just indirectly called him a slacker. And you are putting any effort to achieve it? At least, I don't daydream like you. Burial took a bite of his apple and smiled at Asmodeus before he stood up and left. Asmodeus was furious at the way he was just talked to right now, but he knew he couldn't do anything now, and even if he could do something, Lucifer will punish him, as he had made it clear that there is no infighting amongst them. Ha 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 ha. All 6 archdemons looked at the throne which Lucifer sat on and saw that he was laughing so hard, and from the looks of his facial expression, it was something good. Lucifer didn't mind the eyes on him. He was so engrossed in his laughter to even care about anything anymore. Finally, after so many years of being confined here, I can finally go out of here. Lucifer was happy due to the fact that the restrict placed on hell has been lifted. Now, time to see what kind of beings emerged from 10 million years ago. Is it the Aesir, the Olympians, the Egyptians, the Japanese, the Chinese, or the Indians? Sigh. They are too much myths about different gods, but I don't care, as long as I can get out here first. That can wait. Lucifer stood up from his throne and appeared before his siblings, who had gathered together. Lucifer looked each and every one of them. I know you all are happy that we are finally getting out of here, but I have to warn you. Hell is now our home, and we are bound to it whether we like it or not. Also, I don't know what Father's plan is. Also, Father is cooking up something. I don't know what it is yet, but we have to get ready. That's all for now. Goodbye, never to see you anytime soon. 10 million years is long enough. After Lucifer said that, he disappeared from their view. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Asmodeus burst into laughter at the possibility of finally leaving hell. This is a dream come true, it's time to see the new beings Father created. So bye guys, and according to Lucifer, never to see you anytime soon. Asmodeus also left hell as it was time for him to grow his strength and catch up to his other siblings. Coriel yawned and went back to her sleep, surprising Amiel and Burial. Are you not coming with us? Amiel asked as she did not understand Coriel right now. Coriel just opened her eyes slightly and said, I like it here, and since you lots are going away, it's going to be peaceful and nobody is going to disturb my sleep. So do me a favor and leave immediately. Coriel went back to her sleep as the others sighed and said goodbye to each other before they also left. Elsewhere, boom tilde boom tilde boom. Sounds of explosion reverberated throughout the surroundings as giant-like beings were fighting against another being of greater strength and power. You foolish children, do you think I can be taken down by the likes of you? I am Uranos, the primordial god of the sky. You all are nothing compared to me. The other giant being that was being ganged upon was Uranos, the husband of Gaia, the primordial goddess of earth. The reason for this clash all began a few years back when Gaia gave birth to children of Uranos whom he deemed as an abomination due to their strange appearance and had to look them up in Tartarus, the underworld they created for prisoners, and favored his 12 children before them. But Gaia did not like that. She loved all her children equally. She was mad at Uranos for his actions, so she went to her children, Coyos, Creus, Hyperion, Oceanus, Mnemosyne, Themis, Thea, Tethys, Phoebe, Iapetus, Rhea and Kronos. The 12 children Uranos favored and asked for their aid in defeating their father, which only Kronos agreed to with the aid of 4 of his brothers, Hyperion, Creus, Coyos, and Iapetus, who joined him to attack their father. Gaia, knowing that they cannot win without external aid, created a scythe for Kronos to use in the battle. Present time. While the Titans and their father were in a heated battle, the space around them distorted, and only Gaia, who was observing the battle, noticed as she got prepared for any sneak attack. Suddenly, a handsome man appeared not too far away from her, and he looked around him in confusion before he heard the sound of the Titans clashing with their father. Bloody hell. Chapter 7, Lucifer and Gaia. Bloody hell. Lucifer, who just left hell just a moment ago, found himself in the middle of a clash between 2 gigantic sides. He didn't even get the chance to register where he was when he felt a sharp thing pointed at him. He turned around with his hands held up to see a woman with a naturally green curly hair with green eyes that screams life. Who are you? Where are you from? You are not one of the primordial gods, and you are not a friend of Uranos, so who are you? Answer me before I push this spear right through you, Gaia said as she pinned her spear at the chest of Lucifer, who looked at her with amusement. Lucifer looked at the woman who was threatening him and had an inkling to who she might be, but the myth about her didn't do her justice at all. Damn, she is a fierce one. He smiled and said, You ask so many questions that I don't know which one to answer, but one thing that I do know is that I don't like to be threatened, and also, I believe in gender equality, said Lucifer as he held the spear pinned at him and crushed it before giving her a backhand slap, which sent her flying and slamming into a ruined wall. Lucifer looked at his surroundings and found out that the people were so engrossed in their battle to even notice him. Lucifer walked to Gaia, who was already getting up and glaring at him. Gaia looked at the man before her with fury and burning hatred while devising ways to get back at him. Gaia stood up and dusted herself before looking at the man. Cough, who are you? I have never seen you before. I'm Gaia, the primordial goddess of the earth. Gaia introduced herself to him and acted polite to know who he truly is and if she might be able to get something from it to use against him. Lucifer smiled at the introduction of Gaia, and he also decided to do the same. I'm Lucifer Morningstar, the devil, lord of hell. Lucifer created a chair out of tin air and sat down. Gaia was confused as to who this mysterious and handsome man is and what the hell is even a devil. Lucifer, seeing the confusion in her eyes, realized that she did not know of anything pertaining the devil. Oh, you wouldn't know that? I haven't been around for over 10 million years, but you can call me Lucifer. That's better, right? Lucifer said to her before he started watching the father and children rumble that was currently going on. Gaia stood beside him and stared at him intensely, trying to recall if she had seen him somewhere. You said that you haven't appeared for the past 10 million years, so you are like us, but what I don't get is why you didn't show up when we all had a gathering. Gaia asked him as if he was a primordial like them. Then he should have appeared the day they were all born. Lucifer raised a brow at her when she mentioned that they all had a gathering. You said you had a gathering, are there more of you? Apart from you, Oranos, Nyx, Erebus and Tartarus. Lucifer wondered what the gathering is all about, as he thought that only Greco-Roman myth gods were created. I don't know how you knew about us when you are not a primordial god like us, but let me tell you something that you are mistaken about. There is no Tartarus amongst us or any of the other primordial gods. Tartarus is a place, or should I say a prison, Oranos created to imprison our children because of their deformity. As for your question about if there is any other primordial gods other than us, yes there is. They are too numerous for me to mention. So unto my question, what are you, and if you were created 10 million years ago, why haven't we heard anything about you? Gaia explained and asked a question of her own. Lucifer didn't get the question that Gaia asked, as he was too engrossed in his own thoughts. He was excited about the information he just got and the possibilities that comes with it, the diverse gods, the myths about them. He wanted to meet with them, interact with them, beat up a few of them and recruit the devils of the myths, people like Neza, Sun Wukong, Loki and many others. This is the adventure he has been desperately seeking for. While Lucifer was dreaming about his adventures with the gods, Gaia was just staring at him with a deadpan expression, as she has been calling him for like 5 minutes now. Seeing as she could not get through to him with words, she decided to slap his unconscious state awake. You ask for it? Gaia infused energy into her hands as she raised it and strike Lucifer, and to say she is happy about doing something like this would be a lie. In fact, she is thrilled, but what she expected and what she got was vastly different. Her attack did not have the exact effect she wanted. Instead, she felt a strange force holding her hand in place. Gaia was surprised as to how easily he stopped her with him even paying attention to her. Who the hell is he? How can he be so powerful? He is not even putting me in his eyes since the moment he arrived. It was as if we were ants to him. Ever since my birth, there is no one, not even Oranos, can easily stop my attack. I bet the only way to make him use his full strength is when all the power heads come together and face him. If not, he is going to wipe the floor clean with them. Sigh, if he was here earlier, I would have persuaded him to deal with Oranos for me. Gaia thought before she felt someone flicking her forehead. Ugh, what did you do that for? Gaia cried out in pain as she held her forehead. Lucifer simply smiled at her. Well, I was giving you a taste of your own medicine, actually a lesser version, so what were you asking me? Lucifer said before he turned his attention back to the battle in front of him, and he could see that it was close to his climax as Oranos was in a disadvantageous state. Gaia just sighed and said, what are you, and if you were created 10 million years ago, why haven't we heard anything about you? Lucifer turned to her. Well, let me make something clear. I am 12.5 billion years older than you, so you are inferior to me in many ways, and why haven't appeared during the 10 million years? Let's just say, I was under house arrest. Gaia's world of view shattered when she heard him. She thought they, the primordial gods, were the oldest beings in the vast cosmos, but here she was proved wrong. The man before her was by far older than her, and from the looks of it, he is not alone. Gaia looked at Lucifer, who was now focused on the fight intently, as if he saw waiting for something, as she could see the excitement in his eyes. Just what does the cosmos hide, and how is this man related to our birth? Gaia said in her heart before she too focused on the battle. Many of you are wondering if this is a fanfic or an original novel. Well, the answer is, this is an original novel and not a fanfic. This is what they call a mythoverse, a book based on myths, but I will not only focus on myth alone, but I will add other fantasy element to it later in the road. Chapter 8, Birth of Aphrodite. Arg, erg, Oranos screamed as he fell to the ground after he was finally defeated by his sons. He looked at them with fury and hatred, especially his last son, Kronos, who lead his siblings to rebel against him and his power and authority because of his throne, because he wants to become the king of the gods. Up until now, he still didn't know that all of this was orchestrated by Gaia, who was angry with him for locking up her children. Oranos, who was suffering from a gut-wrenching pain from his manhood cut off by Kronos, looked at him. Since you have put your eyes on my seat of power, your thirst of power will also be your downfall. I curse you. I curse you to be in the same fate that I had, to be defeated by your own child and have your seat of power snatched from you. Oranos cursed Kronos to suffer the same fate as him, since he wanted his throne. Then the throne he will have, but only to be taken away from his own spawn, just like he did his. Kronos didn't want to continue listening to his father, so he raised his scythe to deal a finishing blow to him when a man suddenly appeared in front of him. They were all alert as they had not seen the man before, and the weird aura emanating from him makes him even dangerous. Leave him to me. I will take care of him. You want to kill him, right? Lucifer came at the nick of time to stop Kronos from killing his father. Ouranos, who saw someone stopping Kronos, thought he was getting saved, and even the Titans thought the same thing, so they got into an offensive stance as they could not let their efforts of overthrowing their father go to waste now that they are only a step away from achieving that. Before they could attack Lucifer, they heard their mother's voice in their head. What the hell do you think you are doing? Are you trying to get yourselves all killed? Do you know how powerful he is? Stop what you are about to do right now. Gaia yelled at her children, because if they as much as even tried to attack Lucifer, then they are finished, as she did not know whether Lucifer would pardon her children or kill them all for their disrespect, and there is no way in hell she could avenge them. The Titans stopped and wondered who could the man in front of them be to be able to make their mother that scared, even to the point of yelling at them. Even their father had never made her that scared. Lucifer, knowing what just transpired, smiled and looked at Ouranos, who was still on the ground bleeding from his injuries. I could have saved you, but I don't feel like it, and you are not someone who has any significance in the myths, and I will get to try some of my new abilities on you. The ones I never got the chance to use back in hell, but first, you will have to bleed a lot. Lucifer said as he was still buying time for Aphrodite to be born, because he remembered something about her being born from the blood of Ouranos that spilled from his genitals. She will be a wonderful partner in bed for the time being. Ouranos' face changed when he heard that. He thought Lucifer was here to save him, but instead found out he was here to deal the finishing blow. He was terrified and wanted to use the remaining strength he had to get up and find a way to escape, but found out that he could not move. He then wanted to plead for his life, but he could not speak. He was helpless, hopeless, and all he could do was stare at the smiling face of the man who wants to take his life. Gaia wondered what was making Lucifer hesitant in killing Ouranos. That's when she saw something or someone being born from the blood spilled from Ouranos. The blood of Ouranos suddenly came to life as it took a shape of living being and later on changed to the form of a woman. Flesh started appearing on the blood in a flash, and a beautiful woman was born from it. All the men were instantly captivated by the beauty of this woman. Even Gaia felt inferior to her. This is what true beauty is called. Lucifer just looked at and simply waved his hands, and a dress appeared on her covering her naked visage. After that, Lucifer turned to Ouranos and opened his palms directed at him and said a single word that sent shivers down the spines of everyone present. Devour. Devour. An ability from the sin of gluttony, the ability to absorb anything and use it to increase one's own strength and in some cases the absorbed powers. A black-like substance appeared on Ouranos and devoured him at an extremely fast speed, not even giving him the chance to scream. After the body of Ouranos was devoured, the black-like substance flew to Lucifer's palm and then into his being. Lucifer smiled when he felt his strength increase exponentially. So this is the power of a primordial god. How did they even manage to take down such a being? She must have poisoned him. That's why he was weakened by Gaia. Lucifer didn't ponder on that anymore, as he had already reaped a wonderful harvest just from devouring Ouranos. Gaia came out of her hiding spot and stood beside Lucifer. Now what? Are you going to rule over us now that we have none? Gaia asked him and was hoping he will say yes. Lucifer looked at her. Gaia, he had this urge to plunge her right here, right now. But he had control over himself. No, I have no desire to rule over you. After all, I have my own kingdom to rule, even if it is still empty for the time being. I can't another one to my burden, and besides, your sin Kronos over there will not be very pleased with me and that I don't care, so I will stay here for a few years before I leave. Lucifer said as he looked at Kronos with greed. He can't wait to devour him also. He could have just devoured him right now, but he needed Hades. He is one of his potential recruit. Lucifer then moved to Aphrodite and was mesmerized by her beauty. He ran his fingers through her face and stopped at her lips. What is your name, young goddess? Just think of the first thing that pop up in your head. Aphrodite. Lucifer smiled and kissed her passionately. Her lips parted and their tongues met, fighting for who would get the upper hand. Lucifer grabbed her butt, which sent shivers down her legs as she became wet down there. Lucifer released her from the kiss and smiled while saying, "You are mine now." Everyone knew this was Lucifer's way of telling them not to even have any idea on her, or else that they don't want to find out. Gaia, on the other hand, looked at the scene and felt some foreign feelings swirling inside her. What is this feeling? Am I perhaps jealous? No, that can't be. I just met him today. Maybe it's something else. How can I be jealous because he didn't do that to me? He can't make me feel that way. Yes, it must be something else. Lucifer just smiled at Gaia before snapping his hands, teleporting both him and Aphrodite away. Chapter 9. What are you the god of? Gaia and her children stared at the spot Lucifer was standing before he disappeared with the new goddess whose name is Aphrodite. Iapetus came close to his mother with a concerned expression. Mother, we did it. We have finally defeated father, but another trouble is upon us? Iapetus said when he thought of how domineering Lucifer was just now. Gaia raised a brow at her son and asked, what trouble are you talking about? The man that was here before. He is the trouble, mother. Who is he? The one to answer was Cronos, who did not like the attitude of Lucifer and how he took his prize from him. Gaia sighed as she knew what was going through the head of her sons. Listen to me. Whatever happens, don't get on his bad side. He is someone even Uranus would think twice of offending, and you are not a match for Uranus at full capacity. So I beg you. I don't want to lose any of you. So please don't do anything that would endanger your lives. Tell that to the rest of your siblings also, Gaia said as she ran her hands through the hairs of Cronos. Well, that doesn't matter anymore. I mean, he is gone. We don't have to worry about him anymore. Hyperion, clad in a blinding light of the sun, said when he could not feel the presence of Lucifer anymore in their domain. Gaia, who knew where Lucifer was currently on, shook her head. I wouldn't say that. Look, all you have to do is be careful not to get on his bad side and everything will be good. Especially you, Cronos, now that you are going to be the new God King, as Erebus didn't want any part of it from the beginning, so you would want to prove your superiority in front of him. Don't do it. Just be Cronos around him and not God King Cronos. Gaia warned them before trying to leave for her domain when Cronos stopped her. Mother, what about the things father said before he died? He cursed me. He cursed me to have my own children have me disposed and take my throne just like I did his. Mother, we have to do something about it. I can't let that happen. I don't want to end up the same way. Cronos was afraid of having to fall by the hands of his own children. Gaia looked at him with her motherly gaze. Do not worry about that. Just don't do anything. Think of what your father said as a dead man's last word, Gaia said as she faded from their sight. The Titan siblings all left their father's domain after few minutes of rest. Elsewhere, Lucifer laid bare-chested on a bed with Aphrodite feeding him fruits from a basket. So you are the devil, first son of God, the personification of evil, the lord of hell, the one who defied his father, Aphrodite said to Lucifer as she put a grape in her mouth. Lucifer decided to tell Aphrodite his life history to pass time while he waits for Gaia to show up. Aphrodite then paused as she wondered something. So if you knew that your father is more powerful than you, why did you choose to rebel? Why didn't you just be like your other siblings and live under his rules? You said it yourself. The one with the greater power makes the rule, Aphrodite said as she didn't understand why Lucifer would do that when he himself knew how crazily powerful his father is. Lucifer simply smiled bitterly when he remembered everything before his downfall, or should he say, his predecessor's downfall. Well, what can I say? I am a prideful being. I can't have someone rule over me. That's how I was made. I was made to be the devil from the get-go. Aphrodite looked at him and kissed him, which Lucifer responded in kind. You sure took your time, Gaia. You have some wonderful edibles here, but you still have to grow more. We can't only be eating grapes and apples all the time, Lucifer said immediately when he felt Gaia's presence in the room. Gaia appeared and saw Lucifer and Aphrodite on her bed while eating from precious trees, which made her frown in displeasure. Get off my bed, and take your new friend out of my domain, Gaia said as she stared down at Aphrodite, who also stared back at her. Lucifer just looked at the two women and sighed. Come on, Gaia. Is that how you welcome your visitors? I expected better from you, Lucifer said as Aphrodite was still feeding him grapes. Gaia looked at the shamelessness of Lucifer as he did not even budge an inch when she told him to get up. Sigh, at least, if you want to stay in my domain, she would have to leave. Gaia pointed at Aphrodite. I'm not particularly fond of her. Lucifer smiled at what Gaia said. Are you perhaps jealous of little Aphrodite here, Gaia? Well, if so, you have nothing to worry about. She isn't a threat. Lucifer, while butting an apple Aphrodite fed him. Aphrodite, knowing that Gaia didn't like her much, looked at her. I want to ask, Lady Gaia, why do you not like me? I mean, I was just born a few hours ago, and from then till now, I have never done anything to warrant your hatred towards me. Is there anything that slipped my mind? Aphrodite asked Gaia, using a very polite tone to not give her any more reason to hate her. Gaia sighed and looked at the beautiful new goddess. What are you a goddess of? Like what do you proceed over? What do you feel drawn to? Like me, I am the personification of the earth, so you must be something. So what are you the goddess of, Aphrodite? Aphrodite thought for a while and followed Lucifer's idea of saying the first thing that comes to her mind. I am Aphrodite, goddess of sexual love and beauty. Aphrodite said as her aura became even more defined. Her voice can even make gods fall for them. Her smile is fatal to even Gaia, who was looking at her now, but Gaia quickly came back to her senses. Actually, you should also add the second wife of Lucifer, second queen of hell. That has a nice ring to it, don't you think, Gaia? Gaia was getting frustrated with how Lucifer is taking all these like a joke. Since he showed up, he has never taken anything seriously. It's just as if everything was a joke to him. Gaia then wondered, what type of god is he? Is he god of mischief? Is that why he never takes things seriously, or is it something else? So she decided to ask him. Lucifer, what are you the god of? Gaia asked Lucifer as she looked at him eye to eye without blinking. Lucifer wanted to laugh at her sudden question, but that wouldn't be fun, would it? So he decided to play with her a little. I am the god of evil. Chapter 10, The Fall of Samael. Ha ha ha, damn, that was funny. Did you see the look on your face? It was hilarious. Lucifer laughed out loud when he saw how shaken Gaia was when he told her he was the god of evil. Ha ha ha. You shouldn't worry about anything. I'm not a god, much less an evil one at that. Aphrodite also found it funny as she giggled a little, which Gaia didn't like. Do you also find it amusing enough to make you giggle? Gaia asked Aphrodite with her brows raised. Aphrodite stopped giggling and looked at Gaia. Well, the way he said it was amusing, and you should have truly seen your face. It was hilarious. After saying that, Aphrodite laughed also. Gaia just sighed and found a place to sit. You know, I don't have time for your charades. So let's skip this laughter and talk about what you truly are. Since you are not a god, you must be something, and you are something many times powerful than we gods. So care to tell what that is? Gaia did not bother to stop them from making fun of her, but asked Lucifer about what she was curious about. Lucifer sighed as he knew Gaia will not relent until she gets the answer to her question, so he decided to give her a full recap of his life. Lucifer got up from the bed and went into story mode. It all happened 12 billion years ago when my father, the god, awoke from I don't know how long or how he was even there in the first place slumber. Everywhere was covered in darkness. There was no even a speck of light anywhere except the one coming from him. So Father created light in the form of two boys. Samael Light Bringer and Michael Demiurge. They were the first sons of God, our Father. But one of those boys had a hint of darkness in him, a hint of the chaos our Father created them from, and that was Samael, the older of the twins. He grew alongside our Father and his brother, until the boys wanted other siblings. So our Father indulged them and created other siblings for them and created a place we called home, heaven, and lived their lives in his grace until 10 million years ago. When the firstborn, Samael, eyed his father's throne and wanted to be the new god, so he said, I will ascend to heaven. Above the stars of God I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. And that was what sparked the rebellion. Samael instigated 1/3 of the heavenly forces, and with the help of 6 of his siblings, they fought against our Father. This went on for many years until finally, Father had enough, so he gave Michael the strength to overturn the tide of the battle, which led to the banishment of Samael and his 6 siblings to hell and never to return home. And from that day on, Samael became the devil, the personification of evil, the sin of pride, the lord of hell, the prodigal son. He became Lucifer Morningstar. Lucifer stood up from the bed and turned into his demon form. This is me, Gaia. I am not a god, but was a messenger to one. Now I'm the adversary of God, the devil. That's who I am. Gaia looked at the new look of Lucifer, and she has to say, he isn't scary like the way she expected. As if knowing what she was thinking, Lucifer shook his head and said, if you think this is my final demon transformation, then you are in for a big surprise. Elsewhere, a man could be seen flying towards a dark region, and there was no speck of light from it. It was as if the light was afraid of the darkness here. So have you found out what happened to Oranos? A booming voice sounded from the darkness that even sends shivers down the spine of the man. Yes, Father, I heard Oranos was killed by his own son, Kronos, on the behest of his mother. Gaia in her anger for Uranos imprisoning their children here in Tartarus. The man who had long black flowing hair and eyes of the night, he is Thanatos, one of the children of the god, Erebus and the goddess, Nyx. He is the god of death and current ruler of Tartarus. I always knew Gaia would be dangerous when angered. She even killed her own husband just because of a few disfigured children. If I were Uranos, I would have killed them myself. Another yet charming voice sounded which made Thanatos even more afraid as the voice said that. So what shall I do? Mother and father should contend for the title of God King, or should I also give it up just like you did? Thanatos asked the guidance and advice from his parents, Nyx and Erebus. The voice of Nyx sounded once more. You will do no such thing. You are a personification of death. So your place is here in Tartarus, and besides, we made an oath never to interfere with their affairs, and we want to hold on that. With that Nyx became silent. Thanatos nodded his head and left the domain of his parents, back to the mid-part of Tartarus where his throne is. Nyx. There will be a time we won't be able to stop him. You know his desires to be a god king right from the day he was born. He is going to be hard to hold him any longer, so maybe we should, let him contend for the title of God King. Erebus persuaded Nyx, who was adamant with her decision to stay away from the affairs of Uranos and Gaia. Including her children, she did not even care about the title of God King, as she believes that the title amounts to nothing as the one with the greater strength is the victor. Let them have it, and if Thanatos do not like it, then I will make him like it, even if I have to beg me for it. Chapter 11. Coyos yearns for the God King status. B-U-U-U-U-U-P. B-U-U-U-U-U-P. Boo-U-U-U-P. A sound of a trumpet was heard as all the gods of the Greco realm all came out of their domains. Today is the day of the coronation of the new God King, Kronos. They have to go to the main domain for the coronation on time, hence the trumpet. All gods must be in attendance, or else that's a sign of disrespect to the new God King expect from some select few like the primordial gods. The main palace. Kronos could be seen surrounded by his siblings and his future spouse, Rhea, who is also his sister. Iapetus came to stand besides his brother. Now that you are going to become the God King, are you going to release our siblings from Tartarus? Or are you going to leave them there? Iapetus said before sighing, and then he continued. They are not really good looking and very pleasing to the eyes, but again, if you are leaving them in Tartarus, you will have to bear the full wrath of Mother, so what would you do, Kronos? A frown appeared on the face of Kronos when he thought about what Iapetus just said. I will have to deal with that after my coronation. This is not the right time to think about that. Kronos, not having anything to say, decided to push the matter to another time for now. Coyos looked at Kronos and knew that he would not let their imprisoned siblings out, because if he wanted to release them, he would have said and not avoid the question, and he cannot let that happen. That's not a matter for another time. Kronos, do you know why you are the one who is becoming the God King and none of us is having any objection? Coyos asked Kronos, trying to remind him of his position. Kronos knew the reason why his brothers had no opposition to his coronation as the God King. Mother, Kronos answered, to which Coyos nodded and continued. That's correct, Mother, it is because of her that you are having a smooth coronation ceremony. It is because of her that we even had the chance to get rid of Father. She got rid of her husband and made the one who volunteered to do it the position of God King. Do you know why Mother did that? Because Father imprisoned the Hecatonchera and the Cyclops in the deepest part of Tartarus, and Mother was not pleased with him. Kronos was now getting tired of these question and answer section, but he managed to keep his calm. Coyos once again nodded. That's correct, and they are not just the Hecatonchera and the Cyclops, they are our siblings, Mother's children, and because of that, she was angry and had to use you to get rid of Father, and now from the looks of things, you are also going to follow his footsteps, aren't you? I wonder what would Mother do when she finds out you are having second thought on freeing the Hecatonchera and the Cyclops as you call them? Coyos smiled as he left the room. If you can't even do a simple thing such as releasing them, then you are not going to last long on the throne of the God King of Greco realm, and I will have to step up and please Mother with what she truly wants, and I will become the new God King, Coyos said in his heart, as he believed this to be an opportunity to overthrow his brother quickly. Hyperion knew what Coyos was thinking of doing and just decided to see how things will turn out to be. He just patted Kronos on the shoulder and said, You shouldn't mind Coyos. He just thinks it is his birthright to be the God King instead of you, as he is older than you, and Oceanus has no desire for the title of God King. Kronos just scoffed at that before saying, Then he should have thought of that when Mother asked who was going to assist her in getting rid of Father. He is just a timid man wanting to earn the title of God King without putting any work to get it. How laughable. Phoebe, who did not like the way Kronos addressed her future spouse, stopped him from saying anything any further. That's enough. I will talk to him to wake up and stop having foolish dreams about your position as God King. How about that, Kronos? Kronos did not like the fact that Phoebe interrupted him, but he just let it go as today was a happy day for him. All right, you do want you what, but if he still has any thought on my throne and position as God King, then he will have me come for him. Brother or no brother, I will end him, Kronos said before taking the hand of Rhea and left the room. Themis, who was sitting around the corner, laughed at the display of her siblings. This is the most dysfunctional family in the entire cosmos. Them didn't mind the stares directed at her and just kept laughing. Domain of Gaia. Gaia laid on her bed as she looked at the sky from her room. Lucifer and Aphrodite laid on another bed which he created for themselves. What are you going to do now? I don't see anything that will interest you here in the Greco realm, so I'm assuming you would leave very soon. Where would you go after leaving here? Gaia, who was still looking at the sky, asked Lucifer, who was still eating an apple as if he had a bottomless pit as a stomach. Lucifer finished chewing the apple he had in his mouth as she smiled. Who told you that nothing interests me in your realm? There are lots of things that piqued my interest, like how you had your husband overthrown by his children because he locked up the ones he deemed ugly, and you think after your children defeat him, they will release their siblings. That's where you are wrong. Kronos will not even want to associate with them. Talk less of him releasing them, and I want to see the curse Uranus placed on Kronos come to fruition. That would be interesting. After Lucifer said that, he took a bit of another apple once again. Gaia sighed as she knew that Kronos or any one of her children that eventually becomes the God King, they would not release her other children that were imprisoned in Tartarus because of their deformity, and as for the curse placed on Kronos, she didn't care as she believes it to be a dying man's last words. Aphrodite, seeing as Gaia remained calm despite not getting what she wanted, was surprised and couldn't help herself but ask, "You are particularly calm about the matter," which raises the question. What is it that you are planning? As there is no way you would just be this calm, Aphrodite said, not understanding Gaia at all. Gaia smiled at Aphrodite as she turned to face her and gave her a simple, easy, "I don't have any plans. I just know that everything will turn out as what I want with time." Lucifer looked at Gaia and wondered if she was also a clairvoyant, but he quickly discarded that thought. Whatever, you should get ready for your son's coronation ceremony. You don't want to miss it. Gaia went back to her stargazing. I will not attend, that's for the new generation. Chapter 12, The Realm of Pangu. Domain of Acer. A man with a large beard and long black hairs with a muscular build sat on a throne as looked at the event going on in front of him. He is Buri, a primordial god, the current God King of Acer, a domain or more like a personal realm of his. A man with a black hair and black eyes, he has a slight resemblance to Lucifer, walked up to Buri, who was on his throne while holding a large piece of meat. He is Burial, the brother of Lucifer, one of the 7 Lord of Hell and the sin of gluttony. When he left Hell, he appeared in the domain of Acer, where he had to beat up some of their best warriors to show them that he is worthy of the warrior's way, which he didn't even understand. He didn't know the power dynamics of this new place, so he had to refrain from roughing them up. Back to the present. Burial walked to Buri and saw that he was moody, which contradicts his previous party mode. Hey, man, what's with your change of mood? You can't just bail on us when the party is getting to its climax. Come on, this is nothing like you. Look at your son, he will soon become the new god of partying. Burial, who loved the way the Assyrians party because of the plentiful of food during the event. Buri didn't budge as he was concerned about something else. 2 primordial gods have fallen, and one of them is mysterious as nobody knew what happened to him. He was concerned if there is something out there that is targeting them, as 2 primordial gods falling the same time is not a coincidence. There is something at play here, and he will not just dismiss it as coincidence, as only a fool would do that. What if he is next and was caught unprepared due to his negligence to the matter? He must always be on guard. He will not even trust his own son anymore, as the other one fell by his son's hands. Hey, Big Beard, what's wrong with you? One moment you were a party god and the next you are a party pooper. Come on, get a grip on yourself. Buri. Burial called out to Buri once more. Buri finally came back to his senses and just sighed. I will be going back to my chambers. I don't feel like to continue partying anymore, and as to not spoil the fun, you lots can continue without me. Tell Bor he is the new god of partying and also tell him to go back home to his pregnant wife. He shouldn't let her be by herself, especially at a time like this." Burial frowned when he heard that. He was not displeased by the fact that Buri is going to his chambers before the party could come to an end, but because he was being treated like a servant boy. Even back at home before their rebellion, he wasn't treated that way. Heck, even Lucifer didn't tell him what to do, and now, someone who wasn't at the same level as him is giving him orders. How preposterous. Burial calmed himself and looked at Buri, who was getting up from his throne. "Why don't you tell him yourself? Last time I checked, I was not one of your servant boys who you can boss around. I will let it go this time, but there won't be a next time," Burial said before he left Buri and went back to eating whatever he got his hands on. Buri sighed once again. Where did he even come from? From the looks of things, everything started going wrong from the moment he arrived here in Acer. Does he have anything to do with the death of the primordial gods? Either way, I will have to keep a close eye on him. I don't want to take any chances, Buri said before he sent someone to contact his son, Bor, for him while making his way to his chambers. Elsewhere, a woman stood in the void with a young man besides her with a sad expression. She is Nuwa, the primordial goddess who appeared during the first meeting of the primordial gods alongside Pangu, her husband. The realm died alongside Pangu, but even during his final breath, he didn't forsake us as from his dead body and new realm was created. Shangdi, now that your father is gone, you are the one who would preside over this new realm. You will be the God King, so I leave you to name it as you see fit. My son, Nuwa said while still sad and angry for the death of her husband. Sad because she lost her husband and angry at the one who did that. The one who used her husband's axe to brutally split her husband into two without any remorse or whatsoever. She had only one child with Pangu, Shangdi, her most beloved. He is the only one who could be able to avenge his father, but he is not ready yet to take on the man who killed Pangu. Shangdi knew that his mother was grieving after losing his father, and it saddens him for being weak and not strong enough to take down the man who murdered his father, but that does not mean he will not have the chance. He will one day be powerful enough to avenge his father, but as his mother said, this is not the right time. Shangdi looked at the new realm formed from the splitting of his father. He stepped inside together with his father and saw a majestic sight of 4 different beasts flying through the sky, a clear body of water that flows throughout the realm. There were large trees that bear different fruits. Some, he knew of them, while some were unknown to even his mother Nuwa. Large mountains surrounding the realms. Shangdi was amazed by the wonders of this new realm. He didn't know most of the creatures he was seeing. When he thought he had seen enough, he was even more bewildered when he saw a group of beings from a distance that also looked at him. He felt some powerful auras coming of them, but it was not as powerful as him, which he assumed as new gods born from his father. He and his mother flew to their location and saw that they were just 5 new gods. Who are you? What are you doing intruding at our world, outsiders? A woman who appeared to be the leader of the new gods questioned Shangdi the moment he got near them. The 4 creatures he saw when he first came to the realm also appeared before him with hostile gaze towards him. Shangdi was not infuriated by the way the woman spoke to him. Instead, he was pleased, as he would also do the same when someone intruded his realm just like his father did but was killed instead, as the mysterious man took it as a disrespect to his status. My name is Shangdi. This is my mother, Nuwa. I am here to claim my right as the God King of this realm, as it was the only thing my father left for me, Shangdi said while looking at the woman in front of him. The woman and the other 4 new gods didn't refute Shangdi's claim, as when he said that, there was something telling them to bow down to him. They listened and bowed down to Shangdi, accepting him as the God King of their world. Shangdi was a little surprised, but he didn't let it show on his face. He told them to stand up and looked at the 4 creatures. What are they? The woman who was the leader of the 5 was the one to answer him. They are the 4 divine beasts of this world. They were here when we were born. We don't have a name for them yet. Shangdi nodded and decided to give them a name. He looked at the large azure serpentine lizard-like creature and called it a dragon. The fiery vermilion bird, he called a phoenix. The large tortoise, he called the black tortoise due to its black shell, and lastly, the tiger, he called white tiger. Nuwa chuckled at the naming sense of her son but didn't do anything about it. Shangdi then looked at the woman in the lead. What is your name? The woman thought for a while before answering, Bixia. My name is Bixia. Bixia, will you join me to rule by my side as the new God King of this realm, the realm of Pangu? Chapter 13, Island of Crete. Realm of Greco. Lucifer and Aphrodite are walking through the street of the new gods plane where the children of the primordial gods resides. There are different domains and planes in the Greco realm. The domains are like personal space of a god or a goddess. They are created from the divinity of the said god or goddess that lives there. Planes are general places where gods and goddesses calls home. The domain is just a place for the gods to stay when they want to be alone. The domain of a god can only be accessed by the god who created it or the gods they let inside, while a plane can be accessed by all the gods. There are 4 planes on the Greco realm. The plane of the Titans, children of the primordial gods. The plane of Tartarus, a prison made for offenders, also a home of Thanatos and his 2 parents, Nyx and Erebus. The plane of the God King. The plane where the ruler of Greco realm resides, also previously occupied by Uranos. Current occupant, Kronos and Rhea. The plane of the new gods are gods born out of special conditions, like Aphrodite. Not all gods can create a domain of their own, only the primordial gods and their children, the Titans and some special gods can create a domain of their own. That's why they have the various planes to have those gods whom are incapable to have a domain of their own reside there. When Lucifer entered Gaia's domain without any permission from her, Gaia was surprised and frightened of Lucifer as that has never been done before by any other gods she knows, and from then on. She has put Lucifer on the list of people to not offend, and he is the only one on that list. Back to the present. Lucifer wanted to explore the Greco realm as he was bored of staying in Gaia's domain all the time, and she is getting pissed off by that, so he took Aphrodite outside to look around this new world. Lucifer walked through the street as he felt gazes on him and Aphrodite, which made him just smile. We should do this often, what do you say, Aphrodite? Aphrodite turned to look at Lucifer. Whatever you want. My dear devil, Aphrodite said as she held his hands, which made many of the goddesses who was fancying Lucifer looked at her with envy and anger. Lucifer smiled as he absorbed all the envy and anger from the goddesses and also the gods as they helped to strengthen him. Lucifer saw a large mountain and saw several nymphs there. He walked up to a lesser god to ask about the mountain. Hey, can you tell me about that mountain? It seems strange, as if it was recently dropped there, Lucifer asked as he felt that this particular mountain had or will have a lot of history. The lesser god was momentarily dazed as he was approached by Lucifer and Aphrodite, who he was peeking at not too long ago. He had never seen anyone was beautiful and handsome as these two. He was jealous of Lucifer for having such a handsome visage and a beautiful woman. Hey, we're talking to you. What are you standing there like a stone statue? Aphrodite brought the lesser god back to reality, but this had another effect on the lesser god as he couldn't keep his cool after hearing her voice as a love sign appeared in his eyes, which made Aphrodite sigh in frustration. You are a lose cause. Let's ask someone else, Lucy. Aphrodite took Lucifer from there and asked someone else, but all of them had the same reaction as the lesser god from before. Sigh. We are too good looking for the liked of this gods to have a clear mind. I don't blame them. I would also lose my mind when talking to myself, much less people like them. Lucifer said before he looked at the mountain and continued. Since we couldn't get the answers we wanted, why don't we check it out ourselves, my beautiful goddess? Aphrodite smiled as Lucifer called her beautiful. She followed him as they made their way towards the mountain with smiles. A few minutes later, Lucifer and Aphrodite made their way towards the peripheral of the mountain as they were blocked by a nymph at the entrance. Who are you, and what is your business here? The nymph asked them with a serious expression and no-nonsense look. You are a very diligent nymph worker and you seem to be immune to our charm, or is it all a nymph thing? If so, it will be very hard to have a conversation with you lots. Lucifer said, trying to make a light joke and see if she'd be a little friendly with them so that they have easy access to the island behind that mountain, also ease the tense atmosphere, but the nymph did not look she is going to fall for his tricks. Well, that didn't go as planned. So see, nymph lady, I know there is an island behind that mountain and I would very much like to see this place. The nymph was a little surprised as to how the strange man knew about the island hidden behind the mountain, as even the new God King knows nothing about it as it was created when the own God King fell, including them nymphs. When they came alive, they made the island their home, and since it was naturally hidden from the view of everyone else except them, they made it a sacred place for only them nymphs. Lucifer, seeing the confusion in her eyes, smiled as he may have gotten what he needs to get inside the island, and if you are wondering how I knew about your little island, then you are in for a big surprise, as not only do I know but the 3 primordial gods know about it, especially Gaia, and it is only a matter of time before the new God King knows about it. And what do you think will happen when he does? Do you think he will just sit back and let you live your lives outside of his rules? I don't think so, but I can help you with that. I can be your shield and stop Kronos from ever having thoughts about this island. That's if you are willing to let me in. I won't force you. Lucifer raised his hands as he said that. The nymph didn't even wait for Lucifer to persuade her any longer as she ran up the mountain to tell her senior sister about the guests at their door. She is very easy to manipulate when you know what to say to her. Aphrodite commented on how the nymph was easily persuaded. Nah, that's just because I was the one. If it were to be someone else, I guarantee you, she will not budge. Lucifer knew that the nymph was not someone one would easily give in to just that. It was because he knew what they were desperate about and he used it. If not, they will have to say goodbye or resort to force. They waited for a while before the nymph came back with another nymph who appears to be older than her. Greetings, guest. My name is Adamanthia. I am the eldest nymph here and also a leader figure here. I heard from my little sister here that you can help us with a problem. Why don't you come with me so that we can discuss it properly? The older-looking nymph, whose name is Adamanthia, said to Lucifer and Aphrodite, who followed her as she led the way up the mountain and into the island. A few moments later, Lucifer and Aphrodite passed through the mountain and came upon a sight which left them slightly stupefied. Adamanthia smiled when she saw their expression. Welcome to the island of Crete. The island of Crete, I knew it. It has to be this island. Lucifer laughed and said before he turned to look at Adamanthia. Don't worry, what I said before stands, but I will be staying here for the meantime. After all, this is where a new era was born. Chapter 14, Meeting of the Nymphs. Island of Crete. It has been a week since the nymphs had two guests, Lucifer and Aphrodite, who created a barrier to shield them from the watchful eyes of the God King and his underlings. Adamanthia has told the nymphs to not in any way anger Lucifer and Aphrodite and must do whatever they were told. Ever since she first saw Lucifer, Adamanthia has had this feeling that he is not to be taken lightly of and must always be on guard around him. But with that wariness came a lot of benefits as they are now independent, but Lucifer still gave her an advice to not remain hidden and show her face to the outside world from time to time so as to gather allies and not depend on him entirely, which helped her as she has made a friend with Rhea, the wife of the God King, which most of the nymphs didn't take quite well. What are you going to do when she ousts us to Kronos? What will happen then? A very attractive nymph who has an unusual resemblance to the nymph that blocked Lucifer and Aphrodite when they came close to the mountain. Cynossura, that will not be a problem as Rhea can be trusted, she will never betray us, also Lucifer vouched for her, so there is no problem there, Adamanthia said to her younger sister Cynossura, who is untrusting towards Rhea as she didn't even trust any titans. Cynossura scoffed as Adamanthia made mention of Lucifer. How can her sister be so foolish enough to trust the words of a man she didn't know well enough? You trust that guy that calls himself the devil. Just at the mere mention of his name, you would know that he is nothing good and you are going to take his words. We don't even know if this is a ploy for him to take our island, our heritage from us, and you are just playing right into his hands. Come on, sister, you are better than this, don't let yourself be fooled by them. Cynossura tried to speak some sense into Adamanthia's head and get her to see that she was being fooled by the people she trusted. Adamanthia just sighed at the headache coming her way as she did not have anything to say to her sister, Cynossura, who is adamant on her opinion against Lucifer and Rhea. If you don't trust him, what about me? The nymphs turned to see Aphrodite walking into their meeting room with a smile on her face, but only a fool would think that the smile on her is friendly smile. Aphrodite came not long ago to give Adamanthia something from Lucifer when she overheard what Cynossura said. Aphrodite didn't give a damn about what she said about Rhea but what she said about Lucifer. Her man. She knew Lucifer is a man of his words, and when he says he is going to do something, he meant it, and now someone is slandering his name, so what if he is the devil? Does she even know what the word devil mean? I know where you are coming from. I know you hate the Titans because they were the ones who killed Oranos, who could also be considered our father as we were born from him, but that doesn't give you the right to talk about Lucifer like that. He is someone who takes his words seriously, and I will not take it lightly with you just because we could be considered siblings. If you say anything bad about Lucifer one more time, I will be coming for you. Aphrodite warned Cynossura, who was a little shaken by her threats. Aphrodite seeked the desired effect on Cynossura smiled before she turned to Adamanthia. Lucifer said to give this to you. I don't know what it is nor do I care, but he said it will be beneficial to you. Aphrodite said as she handed Adamanthia a box which contains what Lucifer prepared for her. Adamanthea took the box from Aphrodite's hands and kept it away for now. Thank you for delivering it yourself, and also thank Lucifer for the gift. We appreciate his generosity, and please don't be offended by what Cynosura said. She was just being protective of our kind, that's all. Adamanthea pleaded in the place of Cynosura, who was looking at Aphrodite with a little trace of anger in her eyes. After Adamanthea received the item, Aphrodite turned around and walked away, only to stop at the door. You know, Cynosura, if Lucifer wanted to take the island for himself, he wouldn't even waste his time negotiating with you and coming to a deal. He could have just taken over with just a snap of his fingers. That's Lucifer for you, and that's what he should have done. Aphrodite said to Cynosura before she walked out of the room, leaving the bewildered nymphs. Adamanthea sighed after Aphrodite left. She was having a headache currently, as her sister do not want to listen to reason, and now she has offended Aphrodite, and that's not going to fare well for Cynosura, in fact all of them. Cynosura, see what you've done. I told you to let the matter go and let's focus on other things, but you refused, and now Aphrodite heard what you said. Do you know what she would have done to you if not for the promise Lucifer made not to harm any of us as long as they stay here? Why don't you just listen for once? I can't let you continue like this, so as a punishment, you will have to serve Aphrodite and make her forgive you, because if you think that all is forgiven the moment she walked out of that door, then you are mistaken. She is just waiting for the time to strike when you least expect, so this isn't a punishment, instead it's a way for you to redeem yourself. I hope you've learned your lesson and you now know when I do something, I do so for a reason. You may leave now. Cynosura had her head down as she was too ashamed to even face her sister after what she did. Adamanthea left the meeting room with what Aphrodite brought for her from Lucifer. Elsewhere, in a golden castle, a man sat on a throne radiating a blinding light like that of a sun. He is Ra, the god king of the Kemet realm. He is bothered by the recent death of two of their kind, a primordial god, and he knew it was not going to end with just them, as he too has received a vision from one of his gods that he is going to be overthrown by a new god. So that made him know that their era as god kings is coming to an end and a new era is about to come upon them. Bast, go to the different realms and pass a message to the godlings that it is high time we gather together and have a meeting. Something big is about to happen. Ra called Bast, his eye, and also his messenger and daughter. Yes, father, Bast said as she vanished from his sight. Ra looked at the empty space and sighed. Things will get very chaotic soon. I must make sure I secure my position. No one can take my position as the God King, no one. Chapter 15, Mysteries. Island of Crete. In a non-disclosed part of the island, Adamanthea, the leader of the nymphs, was standing in front of a spring with a little box in her hands, the one which Aphrodite gave to her from Lucifer. Adamanthea opened the box and took out a seed. Let's see what's special about you, Adamanthea said as she willed the soil to open using her control over nature and planted the seed close to the spring. After she did that, she watered it, and immediately she did that, the whole island shook as the seed grew into a sprout. But it didn't end there. The sprout grew into a seedling, from a seedling, grew into a sapling and a mature tree before everything calmed down. Adamanthea looked at the huge tree in front of her and wondered what type of tree was it. She moved closer to feel the tree, but she was pushed back by an insurmountable force which would have killed her if not for someone who protected her. Are you mad? Can't you see the tree have not yet finished its transformation? Do you want to get yourself killed? Adamanthea turned to look at the man who held her and saw that it was Lucifer, shirtless. Adamanthea immediately left his hold before clearing her throat. I did not know about it. I just thought that since everything was calm after the phenomenon from planting it, I could see what type of tree it was, but I didn't know that it was still in a process of transformation. But what kind of tree is that? Lucifer sighed. It is something that will grant you the power to protect yourselves, as you don't expect me to do that for you, Lucifer said as he disappeared from there, leaving the confused Adamanthea. Adamanthea didn't dwell on the matter and just stared at the tree, which was changing from a normal tree to one with an indescribable aura filled with life energy. Adamanthea marveled at the sight of the tree, but it was taking long for it to finish its transformation, so she decided to go and come back another time. Adamanthea didn't know that what she just did, the seed she just planted which caused such a strange phenomenon throughout the plane, did not just affect only the plane they currently reside but throughout every realm across the cosmos, and the primordial gods were the ones who felt it more, especially the ones that resides in the Greco realm. Elsewhere, Lucifer laid on a bed with Aphrodite beside him as they just finished having a session. Aphrodite ran her fingers around the perfectly sculpted body of her husband. Lucifer, when she remembered something he said a few weeks back when they were still at Gaia's domain. You said something about me being your second wife. I'm curious about who is the first woman to catch the eyes of the almighty Lucifer Morningstar, one of your sisters? Aphrodite asked Lucifer, as she had been curious about who his first wife, given him being the one of the first beings to be created, and how he regarded the other archangels as his siblings, to how he was confined in hell for 10 million years. So he could not have met another woman apart from his angel sisters. Lucifer was caught off guard by the question, as he remained silent with no way of having an answer for her. Even he himself did not know why he said Aphrodite was his second wife instead of the first one. All he knew was that when Gaia asked Aphrodite what god she was, he subconsciously said she was his second instead of his first. Lucifer sighed and looked at Aphrodite. I myself do not know the answer to that question, as it remains a mystery to me. In fact, a lot of things are a mystery to me. But you must know you are always going to be mine, and nothing will separate us, not even the first wife. Lucifer said, as he has also accepted the fact that he has a first wife even if he did not know of her. He just believed it has something to do with his father, so he does not care. For all he knows, he might not even meet this first wife in his immortal life. Aphrodite nodded as she saw the conviction in Lucifer's eyes when he said she will always be in his heart no matter what, and knew that he was saying the truth. I will also stand by you even if the whole cosmos is against you, because you are mine, Aphrodite said as she planted a kiss on his lips. Lucifer responded with kind as she kissed her back, which turned him so on that he groped Aphrodite, and they had another love-making session. The God King plane. Cronos was seated on his throne, and he was not in a good mood as he got words from Rhea that she is pregnant, which did not go well with him as he was still afraid of the curse his father placed on him before his death. If you are thinking about what father said, then you have to remember what mother told you. You don't have to worry about something like that. How can a child fight against its father? There is no way, so I will have to tell to not dwell on it that much and be happy that you are going to be a father. A blue-haired man styled in a wavy pattern and eyes like the deep blue sea. He is Oceanus, the titan of the river water, the firstborn of Gaia and Uranus. He was here when Rhea brought the news of her pregnancy to Cronos, who should be happy. Instead he had a gloomy expression which Rhea did not take kindly and left. Oceanus, seeing this, knew that something bad will happen if Cronos do not overcome his fear of what their father said with his dying breath. Cronos looked at Oceanus. What do you mean by, how can a child kill its own father? Have you forgotten that we did exactly that to our own father? So what's stopping mine from doing the same? It wouldn't be far-fetched to say that it actually runs in the family, Cronos said to Oceanus before closing his eyes and think of ways to avert his fate. Well, I had nothing to do with that, so I didn't think about that, but just because you did that to father does not mean your child will do the same. If I were you, I would heed the words of mother and not do anything about it, because seeing as you are now plotting something, I have a feeling it wouldn't be good and that might be the cause of your demise. So please brother, don't dwell on the matter too much. I'm leaving, Oceanus said before turning into a puddle of water, leaving the God King plane. Cronos didn't listen to what Oceanus said and continued to think of ways to get rid of any obstacle in his way. Chapter 16, Susano and Sadinel. Realm of Shinto. A man with black hairs and a beard held a sword as he faced a red-haired man with a flaming sword with red wings that came out of his back. Who are you and what are you doing in my home? The man with black hairs asked the red-haired man while brandishing his sword at him. Put that down, you don't want to go down that route, boy. What is wrong with you kids anyway? You are all prone to anger and attack someone without confirming his identity anytime whenever you chance upon them. Is that how you are made, or something you learned along the way? If so, you have to learn new things or you are going to get yourself killed quickly. The red-haired man said as he flew into the man's home before retracting his wings into his body. The black-haired man was furious as how he was disregarded by a complete stranger in his own home. The black-haired man is Susano, the second son of Izanagi and Izanami, brother to Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi of the Shinto realm. He was recently banished from his divine domain by his father due to his destructive nature and mayhem he causes in the divine realm. He was sent to lowest domain of the Shinto realm where he built a new home for himself, but now, an intruder has invaded his home and treats him like air. He will not be called Susano, the god of storm and destruction, if he let this man walk over him. Susano's destructive aura spiked up as he rushed at the red hair and strikes him with a devastating blow which just pushed the man forward a little. You shouldn't have done that, boy. The red-haired said as he turned to look at Susano, who was in shock to see the man still standing despite receiving a powerful blow from him. You are not a kami, what are you? What are you to be this strong? Forget it, I don't care, I don't need to know a dead man's name. Ruer, Susano said as he roared to the sky, and the roar of thunder resounded in the sky. Bolts of lightning flashed through the sky as it answered the cock of Susano. Susano's eyes flashed with lightning, including his body, as he held his sword that was infused with the power of lightning. I don't know who you are or what you are, but you made a big mistake of coming into my home and disregarding me. Susano, the god of storm and destruction. The red hair watched the show Susano put up and just sighed at his arrogant display of power. Why are you shouting and making flashy moves just to get your ass kicked? You should stop your silly show of power and keep it down. I want to have some rest before I move on from here. The red hair said as he ignored the pissed off Susano and walked into the house of Susano, who became incredibly pissed. Susano moved with the speed of light that seems like he teleported from his previous location and appeared in front of the red hair and struck at him with a lightning-infused blow, causing massive damage to their surroundings. Smokes and debris, destruction on a large scale were seen everywhere, and Susano stood proud as he looked at handiwork. There is no way he would survive that. Even Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi would not be able to come out unscathed. Susano said before he turned around, saw that his house was in a pretty bad shape, which made him sigh. Unbelievable. Now I have to rebuild it once again. Damn it. I wish I could get my hands on that bastard and beat the hell out of him for making go through this again. Susano cursed at the red hair before he walked into his home, only to find a red hair sitting there looking at him. I have to say, for a kid like you really know how to pack a punch. You might be able to take on most of the lesser angels with that, but you are mistaken if you think that's enough to leave a scratch on me. The red hair stood up and balled his fist as he instantly appeared in front of Susano as he whispered in his ears before delivering his punch. Let me show you what true strength is. Susano was sent flying several meters before he regained his balance, only to be sent flying once again. You are someone with similar nature to mine, which is why you are still alive. With someone like you, I can groom you into a perfect being capable of creating chaos for me, and I can grow stronger from there. The red hair said before he appeared behind Susano and held him. What about I teach you what a true god of storm and destruction is? The red hair said as he raised his hands towards the sky, and the entire lower domain shook, which was a testament to the man's power. Heck, even the lower domain would have been destroyed entirely if the man didn't control his power. Susano was scared silly when he felt the terrifying power that the red hair exudes and wondered who the heck he was. Susano thought he was going to be done for when surprisingly the red hair stopped whatever he was about to do, or so he thought. I have gotten my desired effect from you, and I have to say, it was pretty satisfying. Now you know what true destruction is, and yours is just a drop in the vast ocean. But don't worry, I am here because of that. I'm here because I saw a potential in you. A potential to be a herald of wrath, the red-haired said as he offered Susano a hand up before teleporting both of them back to his house. Well, I can't help you with the reconstruction of your home, so you will have to do that yourself, and by the way, I am Sadinel. Satan for short. I am one of the 7 lords of hell, the holder of the sin of wrath, and your new master. Sadinel said to Susano before looking for a place to lay down for a bit. Meanwhile, Susano was having a mental breakdown anytime he thought of the earlier outburst of Sadinel. He hoped this was all a dream and that he will just wake up any moment from now, but he didn't, because this was not a dream but reality. Divine domain of the realm of Shinto. A man with long white hairs sat across a bright yellow-haired girl. The man is Izanagi and the girl across him is Amaterasu, the first child and daughter of Izanagi and Izanami, the 2 primordial gods of Shinto realm. You have heard of the news, right? Izanagi asked his daughter, who he is currently grooming to replace him as the god king of the Shinto realm. Amaterasu nodded and said, yes, father. Good, get ready. You will be the one to go with me to the gathering. That can also help you to learn new things. I want you to be ready before ascending to be the god king. I don't want to be half-cooked, you get it? Amaterasu nodded to what her father said before she left her father, who was happy for his choice. His choice of who will replace him as God King while he lived his life with his wife. Chapter 17, Council of God Kings. Realm of God Kings. In a vast open space that contains several golden large thrones in a circular formation where the God Kings of the different realms will gather if something required their attention. In this vast space, A shimmering portal appeared at the center of the thrones and a colossal giant covered in snow and ice, and he constantly generated intense cold from his body. Accompanying him is one of his children, Trugelmir, also a giant like his father but had none of the snow and ice skin like his father but that of a steel. A testament to his titanic strength. Ymir scanned everywhere and found out that he and his son were the first to arrive, which did not surprise him as it was a normal routine for the gods to always come late to something like this, especially the USAL host, Ra. Ymir and his son went to their usual spot and sat down as he waited for the other gods to arrive. A few minutes passed and another portal appeared and another giant-like beings but pale in comparison to Ymir came out of the portal. They are Kronos and Oceanus, the titanic gods of Greco realm. Ymir, seeing who it was, scoffed and said, "So the rumors are really true. A son killing his father for his seat of power. You are really something. Hope none of your children do the same to you. As you know every well, your father believed in karma." Kronos frowned when he heard the words of Ymir and wanted to refute but stopped when he felt the hands of Oceanus on his shoulders. "You know he is strong and this is not a place for any dispute. You must remember you killed one of the people the primal gods thought of as a sibling, so we will be a scorn and a threat to them. So keep yourself calm and don't lose your cool," Oceanus whispered in his brother's ear before facing Ymir and continued. "It is an honor to finally meet you, Ymir, one of the primordial god king of the Nordic realm." Oceanus hailed Ymir, who just looked at him coldly before taking his eyes from them. Kronos and Oceanus looked for their seats and sat down when Kronos looked at his brother and said, "Well, that went well." Oceanus didn't listen to his brother and just closed his eyes, shutting everything from his surroundings. After a while, the other gods also started appearing one after the other until they all come and had their seats while waiting for the host, Ra, who always likes to arrive last just to spite Ymir, who dislikes lateness. It didn't take long for Ra to come, and alongside him was Bast, his eyes as he usually calls her. Ra looked around and saw that all the god kings are present and one of them isn't particularly pleased with him as he had a frown on his face, which made Ra smiled. Ra took his seat and the meeting of the god kings commenced. "You all know why we are here, right?" Ra was the one to first speak as he looked at Kronos and Shangdi, especially Kronos who killed his father. He cleared his throat and continued. "We've lost two primordial gods, which to most of us are like siblings to us. One was killed by a foreign and unknown individual while the other, I cannot even go into details on that, but that's not a secret as we all know what happened, but still. That's not why I called this meeting. Why I called this meeting is because we have someone who can kill a primal god in his own realm backed by multitude of gods and coming out on top unscathed without any backing of his own. What do you think of such a being capable of such power, and yet none of us have heard about him? Shangdi, you were there when it all happened. Tell us what you can from your encounter with him." Ra called out to Shangdi, who was accompanied by Bixia, his current wife. "The man who killed my father and the other gods called himself Satan, the Lord of Wrath. He has a long straight red hair and red eyes. He can only fly with the help of two red wings which he will to appear on his back and vice versa. He has immunity to flames and also great control over any type of flames. He is also arrogant and looked down on my father, calling him a lesser being. That's all I can say about him. Oh, he is also extremely handsome," Shangdi said as he described everything he knows about the man who killed his father and his followers, destroying their previous realm. All the primordial god kings and the new god kings and their escorts were silent when they heard what Shangdi said. They did not know or heard of someone like the one he just described. In fact, they have no idea where to even start from. Ymir, seeing the panic in the eyes of most of the gods, sighed at how pathetic they were. "Why are you all panicking? Are you all that pathetic that you are scared of someone who might not even be as strong as how he is described by Shangdi boy there, and one using tricks, which I would say is a pathetic method? Even if he is as strong as Shangdi said, he would still be defeated one way or another, so don't act like some wimpy dogs and let's find out where he might currently be," Ymir said and smiled, which is rare for someone as cold as him, as he saw the desired effect of his words. The gods' morale was raised as they took the words of Ymir into heart and started discussing among themselves if they have seen someone like the one Shangdi described. "I think I might be able to help with that." Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked to the person who said that, who turned to be Amaterasu, the daughter of Izanagi, the god king of the Shinto realm. Seeing as she has gotten the attention of everyone to herself, Amaterasu continued, "Recently, there was a sudden disturbance in our realm. Many kamis or gods as we generally call them would attribute it to my younger brother, Susano. But the truth is Susano can never shake the entirety of the Shinto realm, but this one shook the entire realm and the cause of it still remains a mystery, but we could start our search from there. The primordial gods were pleased with Amaterasu for her foresight and her opinion towards to the matter, which earned her praises from the primal gods and an unexpected one, Ymir. This act made Izanagi proud of his daughter and he decided to hand over his seat of power to her immediately he returns. Any other suggestions? If not, I would like to go back since I have a banquet to host. Buri, who has been silent this whole time, spoke. He too have had the thought of giving up his seat of power to his only son born because he believes that their era as god kings has come to an end and the new generation is ready to rule, and when he saw Shangdi and Kronos and Amaterasu, who would become the god king, very soon decided to teach his son the ways of a ruler. That's why he didn't even have any thought to participate in the meeting. Ymir frowned when he saw the nonchalant behavior of Buried, who he shared a realm with, and also the husband of his daughter shook his head. I expected better from you, but looks like the year of partying has clouded your judgment and responsibility as a god king, Ymir said before he faced Ra. We should call it a day and send some of our best to assist the Shinto realm gods to look if there is someone as the one Shangdi described, and also look around your realm if there is any strangers there. Even if they are not like the one described, they might be related, so you must pass it to the council, and we decided how to approach the matter. Ra nodded. Very well said, my friend, very well said, and also Shiva, we will need your little servants to assist in this search. Ra said as he looked at a blue-skinned being with a third eye on his forehead. He held a trident. He is one of the three primal gods of the Hindu realm: Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma. Lord Shiva is said to be the strongest of them all, which made him the god king of the Hindu realm. It shall be done, my friend, Shiva nodded and said. After assigning tasks to the different gods, Ra closed the meeting and they all left to their various realms immediately to carry on their tasks. Back at the Greco realm, Kronos and Oceanus are back to their realm, and Kronos is already seated on his seat as he is graced with the presence of his mother and his other siblings and wife. He explained everything that transpired in the meeting to them before he asked his mother a question. What should we do with this Lucifer guy? Don't you think we should tell the Council of God Kings about him? Gaia immediately shook her head. You will do no such thing. If what you say is true, that there might be others that came out of nowhere like him, then he might not be alone, and doing something as reckless as outing him to the council might even be the end of us. So don't take part in what the council is planning. We don't know what we are dealing with. Gaia dissuaded her son from doing anything that might endanger their realm before she left to her domain, leaving the Titans with a gloomy face. Chapter 18. Birth of Zeus. Arg. Please make it stop. I can't bear it anymore. A woman laid on a bed with her legs spread apart trying to push something out of her. She was screaming as she was in pain from trying to push out something inside her. This woman is the goddess of fertility, childbirth, motherhood and comfort and good living. She is currently giving birth to her 6th child and probably the last, as she could not go through what happened to her other 5 children before this one again. Gaia and the nymph, Adamanthia, were the ones helping her to the childbirth and also the ones who would help her hide her child from her husband. You have to remain strong. You are the goddess of childbirth, for crying out loud. This should be easy for you. Gaia held Ray's hands and said while releasing some of her energy into her. Adamanthia smiled while looking at the baby that was about to pop out anytime soon. She looked at her friend. You just have to push a little more and everything will be over, Adamanthia said, which gave Rhea a renewed hope and strength as she gave out a final push and scream which shook the entire Greco realm at the birth of a new god, which all the gods of the realm knew that the child would not live to see the next day. Adamanthia held the child before passing it to the pacing mother, who held her child with love and a trace of pain in her eyes. It is a boy, just like the last 2. Rhea smiled as she saw the clear blue eyes of her baby boy. I will not let him suffer the same fate. That's why I am entrusting my boy in your hands. Adamanthia, give my child a sanctuary at your island, as that is the only place Kronos cannot spy, and please tell Lucifer to guide him. Teach him so that he can one day release his siblings from their fate. I will visit from time to time so as not to arouse any suspension from Kronos. Rhea said while shedding tears of both joy and pain. Joy because her son will survive and not suffer the fate of his older siblings, and pain because she will once again be separated from her son. Gaia sighed as she saw the pain in her daughter's eyes and could understand what she was currently going through, as she has been there before. She remembered when Oranos had to imprison her children because of their deformity, which greatly angered to the extent she had to get rid of him. She is even surprised as to how Rhea managed to keep her sanity all these well and still went ahead and keep producing offsprings for Cronos, who do not even have any ounce of love for his children, as he devoured them to prevent his father's curse from taking any effect in his life. Are you not going to name the child? Rhea, Gaia asked her as she gathers some rocks from around them and arranged it in such a way that Cronos would think that the child Rhea bore is the rock she was going to give him. Rhea didn't think about that and wanted to give Adamanthea the child. She looked at her boy and smiled once again. He shall be called Zeus, for he is born to be a ruler. Take him, Adamanthea. After she named the child, Rhea passed the baby, Zeus, to Adamanthea, who transformed into a large eagle and flew to the direction of the island. Gaia saw that Rhea was on the verge of tears and moved to console her. Don't worry, dear, one day, you will be reunited with your son and the rest of your children as one happy family, and trust me. He is in good hands in the island and he will grow to be a fine, strong man one day, so don't worry about that. What you should think about is how to give Cronos the rock without him finding out. Rhea finally listened to her mother and calmed down and took the rock, cast an illusion to generate the sound of a baby crying. Rhea looked at her mother. I think these should be enough to fool him. With this, I hope Lucifer can really help my son to be strong enough to stop Cronos like you said. Mother, said Rhea. She remembered her mother was the one who suggested they give Lucifer the child to take care of for them, but when they asked Lucifer for his opinion, they almost swore they didn't, as Lucifer just looked at them like morons and how they thought he was a better fit to take care of the child. What is he, a babysitter? Lucifer refused and said he can only show some guardians to the young child and give him pointers at anything he wants to know, but to babysit the child, he couldn't do that. That is demeaning his status. Trust him, he will always do what he says he will do. Now go. Cronos must be waiting for his meal, Gaia said, as she always believed in Lucifer because he never goes back on his words from the years, she knows him. Rhea left the room and walked towards the portal leading to the God King plane to get to Cronos. Island of Crete. Adamanthea with baby Zeus arrived in the island, where they were welcomed by Lucifer, Aphrodite, Cynosura and the rest of the nymphs. Lucifer saw the white hair and the clear blue eyes of baby Zeus, who was looking at everything and everyone around him, which should be uncommon for a child his age, but he was no normal child either. He is the son of a god king, the grandson of two primordial gods. So this is the child Gaia and Rhea wanted me to take care of in their stead, Zeus, the son of the god king. Cronos, said Lucifer while thinking about the wonders the child before him would do, and of course some foolish things. Adamanthea was surprised as to how Lucifer knew the name of the child when she hasn't said anything. How did you know the name of the child? Come on, I'm the devil, of course I would know such trivial things. Lucifer just based it on his awesomeness. Adamanthea sighed as she knew Lucifer would not say anything. Okay, don't say anything and I don't care. If you don't mind, I am going to excuse myself. I have a child to raise since a certain someone bailed from it, said Adamanthea as she took Zeus to her chamber with some nymphs following behind her. Aphrodite saw the way Adamanthea conversed with Lucifer, and she would not be the goddess of love if she did not know that there was something different with the way she spoke to him. Oh Lucifer, you have finally made her fall in love with you, haven't you? Well, that's not my doing, I'm just too handsome even for my own good, Lucifer said as he held Aphrodite, disregarding the presence of Cynosura, who was looking at the shameless couple with disgust. Chapter 19, Lucifer and Zeus. This realm is becoming quite boring. Maybe I should visit some other realm, but which realm should I visit? Said Lucifer, who was currently floating in the air as he watched young Zeus training. It has been 10 years since Zeus was born and brought to the island to be raised by the nymphs. Rhea and Gaia visit him from time to time, but Zeus did not know that he is related to them and just thought they were friends of Lucifer and Adamanthea. Zeus has grown fond of Lucifer and look up to him as a father figure, with Adamanthea as his mother, even when he knew the truth that they were not his parents, and Lucifer reminding him times without number. Currently, Lucifer decided to give the young Zeus, who was like a young adult despite being just 10 years old, a few pointers to kill his boredom as he waited for Gaia to come. Hey, Lucifer, am I doing it right? Zeus, who was done with a set of exercise, asked Lucifer if he did it right, only to see that he was not even paying him attention, which was a normal occurrence when he is being trained by Lucifer. The young Zeus just sighed and shook his head before he continued. Oh, come on, when are you going to pay attention when you are training me? Lucifer, Zeus shouted the name of the devil, which brought him back to reality. Lucifer saw that Zeus was sweating profusely and knew that he must have finished his exercise. "You did well. You can go rest up now," Lucifer said as he turned around and wanted to go back to his chambers, but stopped as Zeus shouted once again. "I wasn't done. I just finished a set, just a set, Lucifer, if you werepaying attention. You would have known," Zeus shouted with a trace of lightning flickering in his eyes as he also unconsciously used his divine voice as it spread throughout the island and would have gone beyond there if not for Lucifer's gift to the nymphs, which also serves as some kind barrier to prevent anyone or anything from entering and leaving the island without permission from Adamanthea, except from Lucifer, of course. Lucifer frowned when a boy of just 10 years old shouted at him like some kind wastrel or one of his servants. He knew Zeus has some kind of anger management issues, and maybe that's because of his nature as the god of thunder, as he is beginning to show it looking at his eyes, but he is not going to just let it go. He was being looked down upon by a mere 10 years old for crying out loud. He have to teach him a little lesson. Lucifer's aura immediately changed as his eyes turned to a darker shade of red. Zeus, whose eyes were still flickering with lightning, immediately fell to the ground by an invisible force as his eyes lost its spark and he was gasping for air as it became difficult for him to breathe. "Next time you speak to me, you watch your tone, because you might lose your ability to speak the next time you raise your voice at me," said Lucifer while adding more pressure on Zeus. Zeus coughed out a lot of blood as the pressure he was under was too unbearable even for a god like him. But he endured it as he was taught by the same man never to show any weakness in any situation whatsoever. "Oh, you are actually listening to my teachings. I'm impressed," Lucifer said. He was indeed truly impressed that Zeus was catching on most of his teachings, even though it was just him rumbling some nonsense due to his boredom from having to preside over Zeus's training. But now he might have found a way to relieve himself, the suffering of Zeus. "Why don't we make this another part of your training? Let me see how you will fare from 0.001% of my aura pressure." "You will do no such thing." Lucifer sighed as he was being looked down upon so often in just one day, and that's from a mother and child pair. Rhea, who followed Gaia to coke and see her son, but when she came to the island, she heard the voice of Zeus resounding throughout the entire island and knew hell was about to be unleashed when she found out who he was raising his voice at. She immediately ran at her full speed to at least save her child, as he is now her only hope. When she got to the scene, what she saw made her felt a pain she hasn't felt for a long time. The body of her son laid on the ground and blood spilling from his mouth, but what made her happy was that even at his worst moment he didn't succumb to his pain and didn't show any weakness, which will help him greatly in the future. She immediately went to his side and brought him to his feet while giving Lucifer a death glare. Lucifer, seeing staring at him like that, just shrugged it off and turned around to leave the mother and child pair for his abode, but not without giving Rhea a warning. "You should be thankful to your mother, Gaia. That's the only reason I'm overlooking your disrespect, but this will be your last warning. There won't be a next time." After saying that, Lucifer flew to his abode where he knew Gaia would be, together with Aphrodite. Rhea sighed while looking at Lucifer flying away until he disappeared from her view. She then turned to Zeus, who was still catching his breath. "Hey, it's going to be all right. Okay, you are a strong boy. This is nothing to you." Rhea tried to comfort Zeus while also releasing her aura, which was warm and filled with a mother's love, to calm him down. "I'm okay, mother. He is just trying to see if I can handle his pressure. He does not mean any harm," Zeus said to her without realizing he just made a blunder by calling Rhea mother. Rhea, on the other hand, did not listen to any of Zeus's words after he called her mother, as her mind was blank. Zeus waved his hands across her face as he could see that her mind was not here with him before he remembered what he called her a moment ago. "Shit. Lucifer's abode. You know that you aiding Zeus may lead to the eventual death of most of your children and grandchildren." Gaia and Aphrodite turned to see Lucifer standing by the door with an apple in his hands. Gaia has just arrived a few minutes ago, as she believed Rhea was going to handle the issue with Zeus. She was having a small talk with Aphrodite when they heard Lucifer's voice. Gaia sighed as she thought of the future and the carnage that will occur with the lives that will be lost. "I know, that's why I will try to minimize the level of destruction to the bare minimum as much as I can," said Gaia, who has already planned a lot of things to prevent many deaths the day Zeus will confront his father. Lucifer smiled as he knew that what she planned might not even work, as the war will span years instead of a day she imagined. "Well, at least, you will get a replacement on the ones you will lose, because he is going to need allies as he is but just one man facing an entire kingdom. Lucifer gave Gaia a hint on what Zeus might do to gather his own forces. Gaia, hearing what Lucifer said, immediately thought of her children that was locked up in Tartarus. Are you certain he is going to do that? Gaia asked Lucifer, as she does not want to get her hopes up once again. Of course. Who do you think will help him in fighting against the God King if not for the siblings he abandoned? And if you were thinking I will assist him, then I will have to burst your bubbles, lady. I don't intend to interfere with your family matter, and me joining the fray would be like an elephant bullying a colony of ants. Lucifer said as he took a bit of the apple in his hands before turning to look at Gaia, who was coming up with another plan with the new information she just got. Aphrodite also saw her like that and just sighed. Now, what is she cooking up in that head of hers? She is cooking up ways to protect her children and not lose any of them in the upcoming war. Lucifer was the one to answer Aphrodite. Aphrodite nodded her head after knowing why Gaia was like that. She looked at Lucifer and asked, "So are you really not going to interfere?" Lucifer opened his hands wide and smiled. "Of course, I won't. That will be pretty overkill, and I know Zeus will win. He even have me to teach him, so there is nothing to worry about." Before Aphrodite could ask another question, Gaia stood up with full force as she finally figured out a plan. She looked at Lucifer and Aphrodite and smiled. "I know what to do." Chapter 20, Empty Hell. I heard you called Rhea mother, so how long have you known Zeus? Adamanthea and Zeus were together having a meal when Adamanthea remembered what Rhea told her earlier in the day, as she couldn't shut up about it. Zeus sighed as he was trying to avoid this question all day long, but it seems he couldn't escape his fate. "I'm 10, not stupid. I will know she is my mother from the moment I see her. I mean, it is so obvious, and only a fool would not know something that obvious." Adamanthea was surprised to find out that Zeus figured out who his mother without no one saying anything to him, but she still did not get the answer to what she asked him. "I know you are smart, but that still doesn't answer my question. How long have you known that Rhea is your mother?" Zeus sighed again. He was starting to get frustrated with the questioning session, but he knew he will have to answer him or he will not get any peace of mind. "I knew from the moment she first visited. When I was 7. You always say that you were not my mother but just a caretaker, and there has not been any stranger that comes to the island except from Gaia, who I knew was related to me, but she is not my mother, as I could not feel that parental bond from her but something else. So when Rhea, mother, came to the island, I could feel that bond between a mother and a child within the way she looks at me. I knew she is my mother. So that's how I found out about her." Adamanthea was impressed by Zeus's intuitive ability. "I'm truly impressed by your intuitive ability, and I have to say you will be a force to reckon with when you are old enough from what you have shown so far." Adamanthea praised Zeus for his ability to discern things without proof or evidence. "Now, let's talk about the recent stunt you pulled today." Zeus felt a headache as he saw the sudden change on Adamanthea's face when she said that. He knew he was going to have an earful from her. "What were you thinking of yelling at Lucifer like that? Huh? Do you know he can snuff the life right out of you with just a snap of his fingers, and all your mother can do is just cry her eyes out without being able to do anything to him? Do you know that even Gaia, one of the most powerful primal goddess ever known, is mindful of what she says in his present? That shows how strong and powerful he is to be able to do that, and you, a boy of 10 years, have the guts to yell at the man everyone is afraid of. What was wrong with your head at that moment?" said Adamanthea, who had a serious expression as she questioned Zeus on how he got the courage to talk to Lucifer like that. Even she would think twice and still not be able to talk to him like that. Zeus just kept his head down and remained silent, as he did not know how to answer that question. All he knew was that he was overcome by this inexplicable rage of being ignored by Lucifer during the training, and he had to let it out, which he did, but he did not expect things to escalate to that extent. Adamanthea sighed when she saw Zeus like that. She walked up to him and ruffled his hairs. "It's okay. We all make mistakes from time to time, but know this is one you should never repeat, or else, according to what he said, he will obliterated you." Zeus chuckled when he heard that. He knew Lucifer would not do that. He is just going to make his life a living hell for a while. What he was truly worried about is his mother. She might not get a second chance in case she slips up. Adamanthea, seeing that Zeus laughed, smiled and gave him a peck on his cheeks. "You have 7 days to rest, and after that your training begins in Gaia. Your grandmother has a new plan for you. Aphrodite will also be teaching you from now on, and I have to warn you, don't look at her indecently or else you want to lose your eyes," said Adamanthea before she left Zeus alone and went back to her chambers. Adamanthea sighed when Gaia brought up the new plan and worried for the safety of Zeus, as one of his teachers is going to Aphrodite and they all know that she is the wife of Lucifer, which would not be good for someone like Zeus, who she has noticed has a trait of checking out the women in the island, and she could see lust in his eyes when he looks at them. And now, the most beautiful woman in all of the realms is going to be his teacher, and worst of it all, she is the woman of Lucifer. A man no one wants to offend. Zeus sighed as he looked at the fading back of Adamanthea, which to him was her busty butt. Zeus quickly came back to his senses and made sure to not do the same to Aphrodite, because he heard stories, and the stories he heard did not end well for whoever was the cause of it, so he decided to focus on his responsibility and goal in his life, which is to get rid of his father and release his older siblings, or whatever was left of them, as he believed that they cannot survive that long in their father's stomach even if they were gods. Zeus just placed that behind him for now, as he has been through a lot today and he deserved some rest. He went to his chambers and called it a day. Hell, Coriel, the only one who remained back in hell and slept since then, finally opened her eyes when she felt the sudden call of one of her siblings. She frowned at the sudden disturbance to her rest. Now what does she want now? Coriel said after finding out who was reaching out to her. Shadows wrapped around her as it covered her entirely, and with that, the last of the archdemon left hell, leaving it empty. Realm of Hindu. Amiel was surrounded by blue-skinned bipedal beasts that numbered up to millions, all swarming towards her. The beasts are the creations of Lord Shiva, who noticed the appearance of Amiel, so he created a special kind of duplicating demon and had them attack Amiel. Amiel destroyed them effortlessly at first, but before she could revel in her victory, she was swarmed by another set of the never-ending beasts. The more she kills, the more they attack her. Seeing as she has no hope of getting rid of the pests disturbing her, she had to call on her lazy sister, who could use her intelligence to good use instead of sleeping in hell. After she called Coriel, she unleashed a devastating attack which destroyed all the beasts, but she did not let her guard down, as she knew that there are more of these pests. Come on, I know there is someone behind this. Why don't you show yourself and stop hiding behind your little pets? Amiel shouted to the void and demanded for whoever was behind her attack, but she didn't get any answer. The only answer she received was the roars of the incoming waves of beasts. Ruer tilde ruer tilde ruer. Amiel sighed and got ready for another round of obliteration. I would like to know why I was disturbed from my sleep, sister. Chapter 21, Planning and Matei. Realm of Greco, 100 years later. A black-haired man was standing on the very edge of a mountain as he took in the fresh breeze that flowed past the mountain with a smile on his face. You know, this is called the work of nature, not Gaia, the man said to the people behind him. And what does that got to do with me? One of the women with green hair, who supposedly turned to be Gaia, the primal goddess of earth and nature, asked the man in front of her. The man turned around with a smile and looked at Gaia before turning back to what he was doing. Gaia sighed when she didn't get any reply from Lucifer, who was the black hair man. They are standing on the mountain which the island was hidden in, together with Adamanthea, Aphrodite, Rhea and Cynossura. They are waiting for Zeus, who is ready to go on his mission to usurp his father and save his siblings. Are you sure this plan is going to work, Lady Gaia? Gaia turned to look at the person who just spoke and saw that it was Adamanthea. Of course it will work. I've thought of this through, and with what he has learnt from you all, this will be an easy job for him, Gaia said with utmost confidence. A confidence which had not on Zeus but on her plan and the people who groomed and trained Zeus to be the man he is now, especially Lucifer. We will just have to wait and see. I for one says, he can pull it off. Thank you, Lucifer. We just have to put a little faith in the boy. He learnt from the best, so this should be child's play. What we should be worried about is the aftermath. Thanatos will not take it lightly when Zeus releases his uncles locked up in Tartarus, as he has found a good ways for them, creating weapons for him and the Titans with their blinded loyalty towards Kronos, which I tried to make sure to get rid of but to no avail, with Themis alone listening to me, which means the other Titans are with Kronos, meaning Zeus must first release his siblings to get himself more allies to stand a chance against the God King. Gaia told them most of what she prepared and what Zeus must do in order to have a fighting chance against his father. Rhea nodded when she heard her mother's words. So in essence, Zeus does not have only the God King to contend against but also Thanatos, which means he must first release his siblings before even attempting to free the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclops from under the watchful eyes of Thanatos, as doing that first, he will draw the attention of Kronos to himself sooner than later. Sigh. Things just got a lot complicated. Rhea was worried about the journey her son was about to embark on. It is filled with many ups and downs. They continued to talk about the plan and making sure everything was perfectly okay with the plan. While they were doing that, Zeus, now a full-grown man, very tall like 8 feet and muscular due to his Titan heritage. His eyes were as if it contains the knowledge of the cosmos and there is nothing that can be hidden from his eyes. He wore a white long robe, chiton, and a cloak, hematon. He strode towards the group that were busy going over the plan and announced his presence to them. Rhea immediately turned to see her boy who has now become a man. You ready for this? Running a hand through his face, Rhea asked Zeus with a motherly smile. Zeus held her hands and kissed it. I'm ready, mother. I have been ready my whole life for this day, Zeus said before looking at everyone who was looking back at him. Adamanthea, who watched over Zeus since he was a boy, was also a little emotional to part ways with him and worried for him because of the perilous journey ahead of him. Boy, this is going to be a difficult journey. You have 2 forces that you are going to offend and they are not to be taken lightly with. We talking about the god of death and the god king, Kronos, the titan of time. You will have to be careful in whatever you do and you need someone by your side until you start your rebellion. Going over to Zeus, Adamanthea hugged him tightly and said these words to him before she separated from him. She looked towards a tree and a white dove flew from it and came to them before transforming into a beautiful blue-haired woman with blue eyes of the ocean just like her father. The titan of the oceans and sea, Oceanus from Tethys. This is Matei, the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys. You can think of her as your cousin. She came over to our side because she knew that the Titans are going to lose the war, so she wants you to spare her parents in exchange of her servitude. Gaia was the one to introduce the beautiful lady to Zeus, who was already captivated and mesmerized by how beautiful the lady was. Hearing the name Matei, Lucifer finally turned around and saw the woman. The woman who came up with all the plans and strategies which led the Olympians to win the war against the Titans, Matei, the goddess of good counsel, planning, cunning and wisdom, and all she got was her being swallowed by the very man she helped because he was afraid of his rule being threatened by his own child. Lucifer sighed and wondered why the gods of the Greek myths always have a son always fighting against their father for the throne, to the extent they even made a game called the God of War. Another son of Zeus with a mortal, Kratos, who sought revenge against Zeus, who feared that Kratos was going to kill him someday. Such a complicated family problem. Well, not my problem. I just wanted to see the one who would give birth to Athena, who would curse someone I would very much like to see, Medusa. Lucifer thought as he went back to feeling the sweet cold breeze. Matei stood still as she was surrounded by important figures, people who would shake the cosmos, and her future husband and father of her children. Zeus, the sky father and king of the Olympians. Since from birth, Matei had found out that she has the ability to peer into the future. That is what's been helping her and earn her the title, the goddess of good counsel, planning, cunning and wisdom. Now, she had a vision of an upcoming war between the Olympians and the Titans. The Olympians were the names the new gods gave themselves as they settled on a mountain known as Mount Olympus and made it their base of operation. She saw how Zeus and his siblings, together with the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclops and a large swarm of new creatures known as demons, destroyed the Titans, including her parents. That's why she was here. She came here to make sure her parents survived. She straightened herself and looked at Zeus. I'm Matei, the goddess of good counsel, planning, cunning and wisdom. I will be assisting you in your journey against the Titans, and all I ask of you is my parents' survival. That's all I ask of you, oh, Sky Father. After saying that, she went on her knees to show her submission and loyalty to Zeus. Lucifer was surprised to see her take such an action, as this was actually a surprise to him. He knew that Matei shouldn't even be here in the first place because Zeus would be the one to seek her out and ask for her help, but here she was swearing her loyalty to him. He knew she must have saw something that truly terrified her to this extent, but he could not pinpoint what that was. Lucifer smiled when he thought about how future events would unfold, and he can't wait for it.